Hello everybody and welcome to my first Raw watch party in quite a while. We right now are in the reddest room since The Fiend stopped making regular occurrences. It's still not quite updated to the Sundays, but that's because I haven't done this in a very long time and it's the only Raw watch along overlay that I have. Welcome everybody, we are live on both Twitch and on YouTube. We are going to be here for the duration of Raw. 3 hours. I'm going to be here until 4 AM because Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble, because Rhea Ripley won the Royal Rumble, and because there's just a lot to talk about. So, strap yourselves in for a very special edition. Venom better be here, otherwise you're going to be in trouble, as we start all the action. We are literally opening with Cody Rhodes. He's celebrating his victory, and so he should. It was a big one indeed. Brayster, welcome, says, yo Tom, hope you're well. Doing very well, thank you Brayster, how you doing? Aled Thomas, says, what is this Tom Colohue doing a Raw watch party? I am, I've been advertising it for a little while, we've been talking about it for a month or so, you just sort of have to, don't you? It's a big one, Stuart Ridley says, hi Tom, hello Stuart. Peach says, is Venom here? Well, everything is on the table, and King of Cobra says, welcome back. Sean's is on the Twitch side saying WrestleZone.com said the release date for AEW Fight Forever has been reportedly delayed due to struggling to achieve a teen rating from ESRB. Well, to be fair, it's literal violence. That's the point of it. As much violence as possible. It's wrestling, so I kind of get that. Maybe just embrace it. Megan, welcome. Says Seth versus Gable happening tonight, which should be good. It absolutely should. You know you're going to get a great quality wrestling match out of the two of them, Seth and Chad Gable. This is of course what they were looking for with people like Johnny Gargano, just really make a spectacle of themselves and exhibition matches and so on and so forth. Venom is here. Welcome Venom, your dream hath come true. Welcome. And Brayster says, I'm well, I'm over in the USA for a sister-in-law's wedding, so come watch with you. Oh, fantastic Brayster. That's fantastic news, and especially good because, let's be fair, I need people. I'm going to be up until 4 AM on this one. If it doesn't work, I'm going to be quite disappointed. Sean says, good to see you on a Monday night, Tom. Well, I'm here for the duration, Sean. Every now and then, we'll probably do a couple of special editions. I will struggle tomorrow. I will definitely be struggling tomorrow, but we may as well try and see how it goes. Venom said, very excited. We have a Raw watch-along. Simon is excited for Liv, who's on SmackDown, will just not be on this show. Megan says, I just hope Logan Paul doesn't show up and ruin it. I can't imagine he'll show up immediately, but let's be fair, Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins looks like that's where it's going. The show is opening with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes starting the show. With full entrance, let's see if he gets the Codyvator. Is he just going to walk out or is he going to rise? Lots of dry ice. Lots of smoke. Lots of people hyped. He's just going to walk out, isn't he? Pyro, and he's just there. He's just there. I think they've abandoned the escalator, guys. A shame. Cody in full suit. Celebratory mood. Hopefully you can hear now. Stuart says 3 guys dressed as bananas in the crowd. Venom is asking, will we get more Raw watch parties? That depends on tonight. The only one I can guarantee is the one straight after WrestleMania. Sean says, do you think we see Nia tonight? I'm not sure. I'm really not. I think it's possible. After all, she has merch. She's here to stay. I believe I got the first report on that one. Bayley says Liv Morgan won't be on Raw, but this has been a great last 12 months for her. It's been a fantastic year for Liv Morgan. She has definitely put herself very clearly as a main eventer. She's not there right now, but that is where she belongs. Thank you very kindly, Brayster. You're renewing your membership for a second month, saying everyone go watch Nick Barbati's YouTube channel. Several of us have already gone over to that channel to try and boost those numbers for Nick and help him with his growth. He was here on Tuesday, in fact. I was the host of him. We recorded a live version of Nick and Tom's, and it was great fun. Venom says, wonder if Cody will be in a match. Possibly. He is, of course, in a suit right now. I mean, I was told he'd be the main event, but he's opening the show. I can see the bananas now. That is creepy. There's a little banana as well, and a guy whose hat looks like a hamburger. Simon says, by the way, do you know what day Star Wars Celebration is in the UK this year? Same day as every year, May the 4th. Andrew says, do we start the show with Alexa Bliss or Bayley? And if they make the appearance, and Bayley might be pissed because their 49ers lost the game. It is indeed Cody Rhodes. It's all gone very quiet. He's waiting for You Deserve It chance, and they are coming. Sean says, I like how they called Cody undeniable. I thought Tessa Blanchard was undeniable. Not in WWE, she wasn't. Christoph says there'll be another EC qualifier match tonight. Bronson Reed versus Dolph Ziggler. That match is definitely looking like a showcase for people who might not necessarily make the Mania card. I can't see either of them making it. Megan says, am I the only one a little surprised we haven't had any Hall of Fame announcements happen over the weekend? No, I expected something at the Royal Rumble. I expected something fairly big at the Royal Rumble, and yet here we are. Eric says, adrenaline in my soul. We know Sammy's scared of Cody Rhodes. Traffic is loving the red outline. Si made this months ago. And this is the first time we've been able to use it. Cody has thrown us back to his arrival almost a year ago. Simon says, Sashi was at a 49ers game. Cool. Brayster, thank you kindly for that donation. Very much appreciated. It says, Lemon character in Baby Lemon blowing a party horn while marching. Is that in the crowd, or I'm confused, sir? Simon is saying, Fightful Select is reporting that Rick Boogs is returning very shortly and soon. If you've been following spoiler warning for the last couple of weeks, so was I. Not behind a paywall, though. Kieran says, who do you expect to be the main Hall of Fame superstar? It's a very hard one to say. There's a number of people high up who it could be. I wouldn't be too surprised if it's someone like Cena, as Cody just mentioned him, and they're just sort of wrapping him up. They have been waiting to see how Randy Orton recovers, because if he is injured to a point of career ender, it'll be him. Megan says, I'm interested to see how they book this with a Sammy story running alongside it as well. From what I can tell, Cody is going to be sort of stranded on Raw. He'll stay on Raw pretty much entirely. He will cut promos. He will hype up his intention. He'll hype up his chances of being WWE champion. Roman Reigns will largely ignore him until after the Elimination Chamber because he's busy dealing with bloodline stuff. Then, after Elimination Chamber, we go full throttle to WrestleMania. Cody getting emotional here. Making lots of references to Dusty. Cody referencing AEW here. Megan's... I've already read that one. Kieran says there's not many massive ones left to go into Hall of Fame apart from The Rock, Jericho, Cena, etc. Now, I did read that, Brad, but I should probably point out that we did a special explanation of Zero News earlier today. Yeah, they ain't very reliable, mate. Christoph says, how can some people say that Cody is boring? I don't get it. A lot of people see what they want to see. Loud Cody chants from the crowd. I know he was predictable as a winner, but he was also the best choice. Absolutely. Megan still wants Xavier Woods singing along to Batista's theme, and that's the right call. Cody celebrating the world of setback here. True, Kieran, it could well be Triple H. He's definitely medically retired. I don't want to ruin this for you guys, but I'm kind of gonna. One of my favourite things is that Cody's promos tend to involve a lot of really quick, indrawn breaths at the end of sentences. You're going to hear it now. Wait for it. There it is. Megan wants picture in picture. And so you should. Cody's first reference to Roman Reigns mentions a bloodline which are fracturing at the moment. Big boos for Roman after last night. That makes perfect sense. We have a firm face versus heel now, which we did not have previous. Traffic says sometimes the most simple, predictable way is the best way. I agree. Kieran says, do you know who decides who goes into the Hall of Fame? A committee of people in WWE, including members of the board, Triple H, and plenty more. Cody really connected with the camera there as well. Jay Quick, how you doing, mate? I'm glad you like the song. How you doing? A Roman sucks chant, which is not what they were chanting at the Royal Rumble. It's close, but not quite. Megan say bloodline go boom, and the bloodline do indeed. Oh, the countdown has begun. We're sticking with the undeniable. Undeniable is definitely the phrasing that they're using going into it. Jake Rick says, I started my first day at work training. I'm exhausted. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. They can be draining. Hey Jaden, how you doing? Yeah. Cody Rhodes did mention both championships that Roman holds there. His focus is very much the WWE Championship, as I've mentioned quite a bit. We will see how they balance that one out. We have company. As it all went quiet and all went dark, Judgment Day have arrived. All holding microphones, no sign of Rhea Ripley as of yet. I'd imagine she also has a celebration due. Christoph says, when Zero News reports something, he always says, I've been told. Maybe he should mute the voices in his head sometimes. So I've been tracking this. And he has about the same number of followers before Royal Rumble as he did after the Royal Rumble. So people who follow Zero News choose to do so regardless of knowing how often reports are wrong. So, all credit to him. Eric says, I'd love to see Cody. For one, we go back to Broken Mirror's theme. There is no intention to do so. Dominic Mysterio already breathed stuttering. Sean says, thing with Zero News is when they get something wrong, they say plan the change or they ran out of time. The thing for me is they said Rock was going to be there, and then when people disputed it, they got real aggressive about it. I do like that. Judgment Day were actually all behind Dominic winning the Rumble. It was supposed to be Dominic and Rhea. Venom says, here we go. Judgment Day desperate for attention. Wouldn't go that far. It's a guarantee of a decent match. I mean, Cody Rhodes has just come back. They need to make him look good. Venom says, I really hope Johnny beats Corbin and gets in the chamber. I suspect he might. Steve says, welcome to Colohue is Raw. Raw is Colohue. I mean, come on, man. Look it up. How are you still awake? I really like the overlay. That was Sai. He made this many months ago. First chance I've got to use it. Bayley says, for those who weren't on the Royal Rumble watch along, go back to the part where Jay leaves the ring and watch Tom's response. You were genuinely caught off guard. I was. I expected Sami to turn on Roman. I've made that clear. I expected that. Using Jey Uso in the way that he was used as well, I was stunned. Very pleasantly surprised. Not a predictable Royal Rumble where it ended, I'll tell you that. It's starting to sound like Dominic versus Cody is the plan for the end of the night. Cody definitely forgot his lines there. Kieran says, I expected Jay or Sami, but not both. Jay's a story here. Megan says, of all this hyping up Rhea, can we have Rhea versus Cody? I would love it. I would love it. As you guys know, I'd also very much love Rhea versus Drew. It would just be fun. Oh, bit of a Dusty Rhodes mention there, who I don't believe ever actually worked with Dominic. Sean, I don't know who SmackDown Hotel is, but looked like a face turn to me. Steve says, that proves I shouldn't be awake. Hey, you're welcome to stay as long as you want, but it is 1 a.m. Kieran says, Rhea did say she'd like to win the IC title. She also said she'd want to be in the Men's Royal Rumble. She's not. She wasn't. It's worth pointing these things out, guys. If Rhea was asked the question, do you want to challenge for the IC title? Of course she's going to say yes. You have to consider the questions as well. The fans were clearly challenging Cody to go along with them. He did. Clever. Peach says, how the heck was Dominic supposed to win? His dreams are fantastic. Well, all three of them would have been working together. So tonight we'll feature Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio. There's a woman in the crowd with a mustache. And she's on hard cam and she's not happy about it, but it's quite funny. She would be, Megan. She absolutely would. Now they're advertising the Bloodline implodes tonight. I'm guessing what we're getting is a recap. Just a recap. They're advertising our qualifying matches. Johnny Gargano versus Baron Corbin. Our first qualifying match for the Elimination Chamber. Dolph Ziggler versus Bronson Reed. Logically, I'm definitely seeing Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, who of course already has a storyline going with Johnny Gargano. And we are opening with Seth Rollins versus Chad Gable, which is justifying every choice I've ever made to watch WWE Monday Night Raw. I would be stunned if Seth Rollins does not pick up this win. But you never know. Maybe there's going to be a Logan Paul involved. Cody Rhodes celebrating with the bananas. And here cometh Edge. Oh, straight into the action. Straight into the action. On the attack, going for Finn Balor. So potentially we could be seeing a tag team match here to sort of protect Cody. Finn and Dominic versus Edge and Cody. I mean, why the hell not? Oh, Cody's going for it. Cody is going for it. Going after Finn. Ideally, we need one more, but I don't think there's any logical person to actually be involved here. Oh, we're going to a commercial break. That was a good time for a commercial break. A very good opening 20 minutes. Good promo. Setting up our likely main event. And then a bit of a surprise, like, don't change that dial. That was good. That was solid. Very happy with what we've had there. So a very good start so far. Venom says, I know Roman won't be here, but do you think we get any of the Bloodline tonight? Personally, I do not. I think what we're going to get is a recap rather than anything else there. Christoph says, I've just remembered you told us the Sami turn will be more about Jay than about Roman. Spot on again. Tom, the storyline is between Sami and Jay. It's not necessarily between Sami and Roman. But this is why I was able to say with confidence, Sami's not going to win the Rumble. If you guys remember on Spoiler Warning on Friday, I was quite insistent. We currently have 23 viewers, and that brings us to 11 likes. Please remember to hit that thumbs up. We did extremely well in spoiler warning earlier today with the growth of the channel. I was heartily impressed by what we were able to achieve. We reached the point of 2,096 subscribers. We are just four away from 2,100. If you've already subscribed, thank you very kindly. If you've hit like, if you're chatting away, before you know it, there will be a nice full chat room, which means plenty of opportunities for those 4 people to subscribe. So thank you. Megan says, Finn's reaction to Edge is priceless. Him running away at the Rumble was hilarious. Very much Finn has drawn a line here. He just does not want to be involved in it in any way, shape or form. Everyone else is fine. Damian Priest wants to pick a fight. Dominic Mysterio is a coward, but he still wants to pick a fight. Finn, nah, mate. Run away. Run away. Justin agrees it was a good start. Brad's the same. Kieran says part of Roman's storyline needs to be like chair PTSD now. Interesting. So whenever he sees someone holding a chair, he just attacks them. He turned his back. That was on him. And Sean's saying Tony D'Angelo and Damon Kemp worked main event. Sean says if this was Jay leaving the bloodline, what happens to the tag belts? Get taken from the Usos, or does Solo get Jay's titles? I'm very much not sure. And that's what makes this so interesting. I didn't know about Jay. I knew about Sammy. I knew what was planned for the end of the show. Like, I know I made tease of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was never going to be there. So I knew that part was coming. The Jey Uso part, I did not. And honestly, very happy about it. So I don't know where we're going next. Venom is very happy because of Raw watch-along. Peter, it does seem like you're a little bit behind. Christoph says, Edge and Cody teaming up tonight. Give me that. I would not be surprised. It makes perfect sense. Venom says, do you think we get Edge and Cody versus Judgment Day? I think probably yes. That makes perfect sense to me. And Eric says, surprise, no one who feuds with Cody mentions he left Dustin behind, or is he still under contract? Dustin, I believe, is doing more training now than anything else, and he didn't leave him behind. What they are is different people. And different people are allowed to do different things. In fact, as much as anything, you could accuse Dustin of not following him to AEW in the first place. He, after all, stayed in the WWE. It wasn't until AEW was formalised that he came over. So I don't think there's any leaving behind. We're going to get a lot of pictures and recaps of what was the Royal Rumble. The WrestleMania sign, surprisingly, did not catch on fire. We were all very, very shocked and almost a little bit disappointed. Almost a little bit. I always find it interesting when we're seeing the images. Who does the crowd pop for? There's a pop for the pitch black match. Good pop for Cody, despite the fact he's already been out. Hatred for Roman. Lovely. Hector says, it's the first time Cody said that he was going after the WWE Undisputed Universal title and, pardon me, not just the WWE Championship? Yes. Yes, it is. He's been very open that that's not actually his plan. He's very clear he only wants the WWE Championship, but we'll see what's booked to happen. Austin Theory will be at MVP's... Oh, okay, what's happening now? So it turns out to be Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor. Did no one think to mention, like, everything that just happened with Dominic? They clearly just booked a match with Dominic. Interesting. Rundown may have been right. Justin says, Edge and Beth versus Finn and Rhea at Chamber, what I assume is Chamber. Seems to make sense now that is very much what they were leading towards. It looked like a WrestleMania one that was clearly a distraction and a red herring in the end for Rhea to pick up the win. So pretty happy with that overall. Venom says, which do you think is better, Raw or SmackDown? Bloodline's on SmackDown, so that's all you need from me. Though I do feel the women's division is better on Raw. Primarily because they have wrestling matches. Seth Rollins is on his way down, looking like a face. He doesn't look ridiculous, and I don't like that. He's shaking hands. He's celebrating the music. He is conducting. Everyone's happy about it. Sean says, Seth, everyone sing. I'm not going to sing, but the crowd will, and they'll do it for me, which is even better. Eric says Liv had a phenomenal 2022. She did. Venom says, I noticed he said both and not just the WWE title. Please don't tell me he gets both of them. It really does depend on what the plan is. If there's no double duty and there's only going to be one match, maybe he does get both and then they split the titles at the draft. Eric says maybe Rhea does double duty. The Royal Rumble does not entitle her to do so. Justin says, SmackDown women getting a chamber. I've never seen a brand get both chambers. That seems to make sense based on this, although it's not an impossibility. After all, it is all about the Royal Rumble, really. Venom is asking how long AJ Styles is out for. A little while longer yet. He's not fully recovered. I don't think we'll see him in the Elimination Chamber, but we may see him at some point tonight. I don't necessarily think he's going to make it to WrestleMania is the thing. Not necessarily because of injury. I just don't think there's anything booked for him. So he's more likely to be in the Battle Royal, which might not take place at WrestleMania. And I don't know if you really want him in that. Honestly, at this point, I'd rather him have a nice long break and then come back after Mania. Maybe feud with someone new. They definitely need something new. Judgment Day's been doing the same thing for far too long. And of course, now we're moving back to Edge, which is not great. Seth is starting with some technical wrestling, which of course plays to Chad Gable's strengths. We won't get much of the Catcher's Catch can, but we'd be happy with it when we got it. Christoph saying, here comes the visionary. Eric says, how much longer for Randy and Big E? I did cover that earlier today during spoiler warning, Eric. I advise you to check it out. It is admittedly about 45 minutes in. There was a lot of comments earlier. A lot of comments. And most of them are fully deserving of answer. They're advertising Rhea Ripley's decision tonight. Logically then, Charlotte Flair is probably there. Venom says, confusing to me, Alpha Academy acts like faces. Do they? Like, their whole thing is shoosh. I don't really see how they're acting like faces there. Justin says, does Rhea really decide tonight, or does she wait and Beth interrupts? I suspect we may see Beth Phoenix. I don't think she's going to be able to make the decision tonight. I think they want to tease it for as long as possible. I can't blame them for it. That's kind of how you do things. Seth is selling strong for Chad Gable. Gable's at decent pace, which tells me his match is not going to be a long one. Diving headbutt. Hitting a lot of signature offense at this point. I really don't think this match is going to go on for too long. And commercial break. Yeah, maybe Venom. Again, I'm not sure on that one. I've not really seen enough of them recently. Kieran says, I feel like we're never going to see a main title AJ Styles run again. No, I don't believe we will. Since he signed his latest contract, it's been very clear he's not considered a main eventer anymore. Great wrestler, mid-card wrestler though. That's the issue. And there's been no real question of it. Nobody really challenging it. Sean says, wonder if we'll see Alexa tonight. I'm confident we will. Megan says, if there is a second chamber match, could it be for the tag titles to handle the Usos' side of the story? I mean, it could, but I still think it'll be a women's one, personally. Hector says, realistically, I'd wait till the last possible moment to announce who I wanted to face if I won the Rumble. Just make it more suspenseful. Yeah, and they've done that before. Charlotte Flair, for a long time, just didn't announce who she was going to challenge. To my knowledge, it took an extra 2 pay-per-views for Asuka to actually challenge Charlotte Flair. But even then, people weren't really aware of how that would work. Hector says, realistically, I'd wait... I've already read that one. I've literally just read that one as well. What am I doing? So we are a sixth of the way through Raw, a half hour into the show. We're going to get a lot more recaps of the event. Cody Rhodes we're going to see again, probably in the main event. We've got another couple of matches for the Elimination Chamber. Austin Theory will do some work with MVP, who'll do the best to get him over. Maybe annoy Omos as well. And I've got to be honest, we're probably going to see at least Bobby Lashley, maybe Brock Lesnar as well. There's definitely a few big names worth considering. They've advertised the Bloodline imploding, but I suspect that will just be a recap, so nothing particularly exciting, or just at its most basic, nothing new. Nothing new. Venom, I agree that AJ Styles is the main event guy. That doesn't change the fact that he's planning on winding up his career after this contract, so a main event run for him doesn't really help the WWE long term. Sean says the second chamber match could be SmackDown Women's title. I don't see Bianca defending. I don't think it'll be for the title. And Kieran says it's late. We understand. I appreciate it. It is quite late, and I'm not used to this one. I'm used to Fridays, but I'm not used to having to, stay up through a whole Royal Rumble till 5:30 in the morning and then come back to action at this point. Sean says, who will be the draw segment? Hard to say. I'd imagine Becky's going to be one of them, but we'll see how it goes. Venom says Apollo versus Mello Vengeance Day. Mello is winning, and I'll stick by that. Kieran says they just posted the Roman versus Rhodes graphic on Twitter, and the gold looks nice. All roads lead to Reigns. Justin wants Bianca versus Alexa versus Asuka versus Becky versus Bayley versus Nia for the Elimination Chamber. Megan says, I like the women's title picture potential. Any combination of Bianca, Charlotte, Asuka, Rhea, Bayley, Becky, Alexa, Shayna is good in my book. I do suspect Ronda and Shayna are going to be competing for the tag team championships. I've said this for a while. Becky versus Bayley at WrestleMania, non-title. I think that would be perfect. And just a great fun match and potential competitor for the 5-star all over again. Which does leave us with, obviously, Rhea and Asuka. Personally, I would quite like to see Asuka versus Charlotte again. And I think this Asuka could get the win back. The issue is Asuka is on WWE Raw, not SmackDown. That, I feel, is the biggest issue of this particular run. Raw got everything. Both Rumble wins were on the Raw side. And some of the people who are going to be pushed as a result of it, Raw side too. Venom says it's tricky. Mello versus Breaker will happen before Stand and Deliver, and I don't see Breaker losing until then. There's literally nothing else other than Mello to do it. Brad Becker says US title match at Mania. The rumours persist that it is going to be Austin Theory versus John Cena. But if we're going to have ourselves a number one contendership match, we're going to have ourselves an Elimination Chamber. It really is to depend on the winner of that. Of course, it could be that John Cena enters, which I wouldn't hate. Particularly if you've got Seth Rollins in there, you've got Austin Theory in there, you've got Bronson Reed in there for him to lift and squat. There's options. Christoph says, if I'm not mistaken, the WWE already announced a few months ago there'll be a chamber for the men, a chamber for the women as for the men. I'm not entirely sure on that one. I think that may have been War Games you're thinking of. Seth is selling really nicely for Chad Gable, making sure he's treated like a big deal. Just a really high quality match so far as well. Working with him. Venom says, what's the betting? Theory gets number 6 in the chamber. Average? I don't think he's any more likely to get that than anyone else. Hector says, do you think this will be the year of Cody with potential long, even historic run with the WWE title? I mean, they've made the journey seem important, so logically he wouldn't win the title just to lose it a couple of months later. I don't say historic, because ultimately Roman has set the bar too high for that. Potentially later in the year, for example, Survivor Series, I feel. That would be a good time for him to lose the championship, then heading back into WrestleMania, he can get himself a marquee match, maybe another rematch, a la Bianca Belair. But for the moment, I think he'll have a solid run. He just has to get there first. Seth caught in the enziguri going into the ankle lock. Gable actually swaps ankle there. Nicely played. I definitely don't see Seth tapping. This is very much to ensure he gets a marquee match and he's still treated like a good guy. Chad Gable and Otis are perfect for this. Though I would say I'd like to see more of Otis on the outside getting involved. Just ensuring that he's treated like a heel. Chad Gable is doing a wonderful job with these ankle locks. Seth keeps trying to reverse and it's not quite working out. Oh, that roll was lovely. That's a pedigree. Gable is very close to the ropes. He's not got his eyes open. Job done. Seth Rollins ensures that he comes away with the win and he'll be in the Elimination Chamber match for the United States Championship. Venom says if there is a women's chamber and Naira's in it, they better have 5 ambulances waiting. I mean, wow. Brad says Chad is underrated. He's very well respected for his level of talent. When put against wrestlers who wrestle his style, Seth Rollins is a chameleon, he can work every style, it basically just guarantees good stuff coming. I also think they've been very careful there. Very careful to ensure that he's winning with moves other than the curb stomp. They're ensuring the idea that Seth Rollins can win from any direction. Though I still think he'll be facing Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Megan says the match is good. You never knew Sky Blue, Grass Green, and Last of Us sad. Last of Us was very sad. Ed, how you doing, mate? I'm going to read this out. It obviously tells us how you're doing, but says, just stopping in. Laid my uncle to rest tonight, but wanted to say hi. Leave a like and stop in on this special Raw watch along. I appreciate it, sir. If you do need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. You know I got your back. Hope you're okay. Hector says, behind the scenes, I wonder if everyone is happy with how Bray's return has went with all the negative reaction. Could this lead to less people having more creative control? They've just announced Candice LeRae will take on Iyo Sky up next on Raw. The draw segment will be shortly afterwards. Logically then, it will be Bayley and Becky. As regards creative control, to my knowledge, there are only 2 talents currently working in the WWE who have any creative control at all. One of them is Ronda Rousey. The other one is Bray Wyatt. Now, admittedly, they're not entirely sure where they're going with Bray Wyatt, but he has agreed to be sort of maintained by Rob Fee, which is guaranteed a lot more control over the character, and they do make certain agreements, but the Uncle Howdy concept was not pre-agreed. Kieran says if he faces Logan Paul, he loses again at Mania, doesn't he? Very possibly, yes. However, if there's one person who can prove that it doesn't really matter about wins and losses, it's Seth Rollins. I also feel I should remind everyone that Sami Zayn lost at last year's WrestleMania to Johnny Knoxville, and look at him now. And then says, let's hope WWE has more sense than to put Nia in cage matches and ladder matches. She's been in them before. Money in the Bank matches. I think she's been in Money in the Bank matches. She was one of the first people to wrestle Ronda Rousey one-on-one. She's worked with Asuka quite a bit. And Becky Lynch has punched her in the face a few times. Lot going on. I don't think we can rule it out, is all I'm saying. I don't think we can rule it out. So, 40 minutes in, 20 minutes left of the first hour. We'll have our first women's match. Candice LeRae, not someone we see in action all that much, so it'll be nice to get something a bit different. She, of course, already has history with Iyo Sky, and I imagine they will lean on that and the chemistry that comes with it to guarantee a good performance. That said, it's a women's match, so knowing WWE, it won't last very long. This would be a good time for the involvement of Asuka. Asuka and Iyo Sky, of course, as we know, have been kept roughly separate to try and keep them from spoiling what they're expecting to be a good and big match further down the line. Thank you, Sean. Nia was an Extreme Rules match against Alexa. She was indeed. Venom says Bray should go to Raw to get more eyes on Raw. So you have people going to Raw for Bray and people going to SmackDown for the Bloodline. It evens it out. Not necessarily. After all, you got a lot of people who are going to Raw for Cody, Seth, and of course Becky. Bianca Belair is also worth mentioning in there, I feel. Plus lately, Rhea Ripley and Dominic, they are genuinely putting together a really, really entertaining storyline. It can't rival a Bloodline now, but give it time because it's certainly working. Feels that helps Raw out instead of having all the draw segments on SmackDown. They do still have draw segments on Raw. Cody, of course, opened the show. He'll be main eventing. There's some draw segments for you. They've got plenty of talent, plenty of big names on Raw. I wouldn't worry too much about it, though they do miss out on having a Gunter, for example. But you've still got Bobby Lashley, you've still got Brock Lesnar to be involved. There are still plenty of big names to consider. If you're enjoying the Raw watch party, I will still have to say don't expect it to be happening every single week. We're doing a special one this week after the Royal Rumble, celebrating obviously everything going on with Cody Rhodes, with Rhea Ripley, and quite a few wrestling matches at the same time. Raw's a very spread out show nowadays. All the segments get a lot more time, which is a good thing, but ultimately it does mean that it moves a little bit slower for me. I'm not the biggest fan of the actual wrestling matches, unless it's something like a Royal Rumble. What that means is that a show that lasts until 4 a.m, not necessarily my bag, baby. If you get what I'm saying. Now, of course, if at the end of this show we've had 5,000 views, gained 20 subscribers, you'll probably see me next week. You know, I mean, money talk, what can I say? But at the moment, I can't say that that's likely. They are running through the headlines of a lot of different outlets celebrating the WWE and the big headlines that came with. TMZ talking about Logan Paul more than anything. First mention of Logan Paul. Forbes headline is just Roman Reigns destroyed Sami Zayn. Even the New York Post talking on this one. Okay, there comes a point where you've done it already. Like, you've already covered so many different headlines. Just stop. Just stop. Note, by the way, that the WWE never celebrates wrestling media in that group. They couldn't care less about wrestling media. Their main interest is on mainstream media. They couldn't care less. Venom says, I feel I'm still not getting Becky or Charlotte in the chamber. No, I agree with that one. Becky Lynch is going to be working Bayley, so I don't think she would qualify. Also, Charlotte is already a champion, a SmackDown Women's Champion. So, if, for example, Rhea Ripley challenges Bianca, then neither of those women are eligible to be there. All of Damage Control are coming down to represent Iyo. Bayley just made a fan very happy by ripping up her sign. The Tag Team Championships are obviously on display here. We are going to see the building of more tag teams over the course of the next few weeks. Honestly, I'm just happy to see the three of them in action. They've been really delivering since SummerSlam. I know people have mixed feelings about them, but for me, Damage Control are an absolute mainstay. Candice LeRae on the way down. Justin says SmackDown will always be Raw in ratings as long as they're on Fox, which is network television. Yep. Candice LeRae is being assisted by Mia Yim, or Michin as they're referring to her. I don't think they're necessarily a tag team, but they could be. Christoph says, have you seen how Bayley did wish happy birthday to Becky on Twitter? I've not actually, I missed that one. Sean says the next Raw watch along will be Raw after Mania. Yes, it will. That will be our next one that I guarantee. There could be more between now and then. As I say, if I gain like 20 subscribers here and I get 5,000 views, I'll probably do another one relatively soon. But I can't guarantee that until then. FIFA Connor, welcome back, mate. How you doing? Has been a member for 6 months. Another renewal, says hello, Tom. Nice to see you, Connor. You having a good time? Did you enjoy the Rumble? Hector says, now that the Rumble is behind, I'm honestly convinced that Gunter has had the best main roster call-up. Undefeated in singles action since his call-up, a long reign with the IC title, #1 entry in the Rumble, and being the Iron Man, and we've not reached Mania. He is doing extremely well, and it shows how well protected he is. Venom says, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you saying if this does well enough, Raw watch-alongs could become a regular thing? Yes. Yes, I am. As I said, sometimes you have to consider the business aspect of this thing. I'm trying to run a business here. And if it's going to get me to a point where I'm growing faster and earning money faster, I can't really argue it. Connor also across on the Twitch side, renewing subscription there for a 17th month in a row. Hello, Connor, and hello, Connor again. Venom says, not unless Charlotte defends in the chamber. If so, we really need to work out how we're going to get to her competitor for WrestleMania, because she's going to have to wrestle someone if it's not Rhea Ripley. Justin says, could we see Becky here? We could, if she wants a little bit of revenge against Damage Control. Certainly a possibility. Though it's a little bit heelish to happen, though Becky Lynch has always managed to walk that line. Kieran says, how many hours sleep will you get before you have to work? The most amount of sleep I'll get before I have to work is 4. That is the most amount of sleep I'll be able to get. We are getting picture-in-picture commercials for a Batista film. Knock at the Cabin. He's in an M. Night Shyamalan movie. What the hell? Connor says, I'm good, mate. How's he been? Was shocked to see you doing a Raw watch party. Me too, mate. Me too. I've been talked into it, quite succinctly, but it's right after the Royal Rumble. There's always a big show after Royal Rumble. My next one will likely be WrestleMania, so I thought I'd give it a shot, and I've got a whole week to recover, ready for SmackDown. I really do hope you're good, mate. It's been a little while since I've seen you, and I hope you're alright. Venom says, everyone get in the chat and sub so we get more Raw watch-alongs. Well, to be fair, the fact that I don't do them regularly is actually working against you a little bit there, Venom. Because I do SmackDown ones regularly now, so YouTube knows. So YouTube advertises. YouTube doesn't know I'm doing a Raw watch party, so they're not really trying. That was a perfect dive from Iyo Sky, straight through the ropes. Landed beautifully across rather than straight on, which means it's easy to catch her. She also intentionally had a trailing leg that caught the top rope, which basically just keeps your momentum down. And it's nice. Megan says, I could easily see it being a case of the women's chamber match being to challenge the champion Rhea doesn't pick. That's basically exactly what I'm expecting. Candice LeRae with a hop off the ropes too. Braun Strowman will be rolling over in his grave. And it looks like a commercial break coming. The referee trying to break up a potential scrap on the outside. Dom says, don't forget to hit the like button or we have 2 words for you. Hey, yo. You have quite the list of options there, Dom, don't you? And you are going through them. Very nice. Sean says, in 94 days, Damage Control will break the Kabuki Warriors record for longest reigning champions. I don't see them reaching it. I don't think they'll get past WrestleMania. I'll definitely agree on that. Definitely agree on that. Peter says, few botched moves in this match. I think so far they've been quite clinical, to be honest. But to be fair, my focus is on the chat, isn't it? Connor says, I'm great actually. Just been quite busy on Fridays and Mondays, so not being able to hop in. The important thing, mate, is that you're good. That's the important thing, isn't it? I think we can all agree on that. I'm talking really quick today. So yeah, as long as you're in a good place, I'm very happy for you. And if you miss a few shows and we don't hear from you for a little bit, I can always reach out on Twitter and check in. I'm not worried, but every now and then I do worry about people a little bit. Just a little bit. Kieran says, I just saw the EO dive and that was super clean. Kieran, you're probably a little bit behind still, aren't you? Venom said, you've made me extremely happy, even if there isn't loads of them. I'm happy we finally got one. I kept saying I'm not going anyone else's Raw watch along. It has to be Tom. Well, Venom, I respect that. You did talk me into it, primarily for, several reasons. It has been the right move. This is the right time to do it. I said at the beginning of the year, you'll get one. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you still watch Raw regardless, because, wrestling fans. If you're going to be a wrestling fan, you might as well watch wrestling. What can I say? As we are approaching the end of the first hour, please remember that if you've not already done so, to hit the like button. We have 24 viewers and the 19 likes. So we're actually very, very close. At the same time, if you've not yet subscribed, please consider that as well. We are on 2,096 subscribers. We need only 4 more. Only 4 more to get to 2,100. So please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. Stuart says, how busy can someone who lives in Tom's cupboard be? You say that, but I did recently pimp my cupboard. After all, there's someone living there. You might as well put something in. Cheers, Christoph. Appreciate it. Hector says, Tom, as a regular here on the channel, I'm going to need an update on your spoiler, Spider Buddy. Whatever happened to the little guy? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. He might still be here. He might still be... Is he behind me? He might still be... I'm not afraid of spiders. They don't freak me out at all, so... I know that we saw him crawling around behind me, and it was quite fun. But yeah, he probably just lives here now. All power to him. He'll make sure I don't get flies, which is nice. Justin Check says, make this successful so we get more. Like I said, if it works out and if it's valuable, I'll be doing them every week. the job at this point is to grow, and my target for the end of the year is 5,000. My target for this month was 150, which I have now achieved. My target for December will be 350, but, you know, I'll have a lot more by then, so the growth should be faster. So just bit by bit, we're hitting our targets, and that's the most important thing. We just got to keep it up, and anything that helps, I'm interested in. Brad says, I've always said sports entertainment is wrestling, and wrestling is sports entertainment. I wouldn't go that far. If you're familiar with New Japan, for example, that's not sports entertainment. Oh, lovely superplex. This has been a great match so far. Yeah, that is definitely wrestling, pardon me, and not sports entertainment. But American wrestling in general, WWE, AEW, Impact, that's all sports entertainment. Connor says, he did pin the cupboard. It is now grand in here. I was in the cupboard earlier looking for my passport so I could pay my taxes. Apparently I already did, and nobody told me. Probably because I'm registered as a limited company now. I don't have to do it the old way. Eric says, do you think Cody wins? Yes. Yes, I do. Kieran says, you're the spider taker outer in the house. Nobody, like my entire family are quite fine with spiders. Admittedly, the girls just always call them Jerry for some reason. So they've named every spider Jerry and they just assume it's all the same spider, even though it's obviously not. They just embraced the ridiculousness that is me, so works for me. That is not it. I thought that would be that. Poison Rana from the Poison Pixie. Interesting. Sean says, if someone says they're afraid of spiders, I ask if they're afraid of Spider-Man. And to be fair, if he was on my ceiling, I'd be freaked out. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We talked about this. We talked about that. Thank you. Thank you. You don't live here. You have a house. Just go home. Every time there's Spider-Man. Damage control trying to provide a distraction. Mitchin, of course, could get involved herself. Candice LeRae still in a strong position. Bayley preventing Candice from getting too involved. And that is screaming complete roll-up. And that's a free. Lackluster finish in the end. Lackluster finish. I'd have liked more. I'd have liked a lot more. The match itself was very good. It's a shame they couldn't just be a clean win one way or the other. But I suppose, isn't that the point? Eric says, do you think Gunter breaks the record for longest title reign? The actual record isn't that long. I do think he gets past WrestleMania, but I don't think he'll last too much longer past that. Hector says, I agree with that spider comment as well. I also do not actively kill spiders when I see them, because they kill way worse bugs, and that's a plus for me. Connor used to have a pet tarantula in the house. It was class. Never been too big on tarantulas, but to be fair, it's one of those things. I've held snakes before. Like, every part of your body is saying, you don't want to do this. Why are you doing this? And then you're holding a snake and you're like, oh, you're alright. But to be fair, there isn't a snake man. There's not a snake man. That's a superhero we're all missing. Rhea Bloody Ripley up next, apparently. Stuart Ridley says, don't let the AEW fans hear you calling it sports entertainment. There'll be trouble if they do. Why? It is sports entertainment. Like, that's very much what they are. Chris Jericho is a sports entertainer in prime. The draw segment will be Rhea Ripley, which I'd imagine means it will also be Bianca Belair. At that point, I'll say that probably the second draw segment will be Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. Yeah, I think... Yeah, Rhea Ripley's a damn good choice, let's be fair. She has, after all, just won a Royal Rumble. Kieran says, what about Spider-Pig? Well, he does whatever a Spider-Pig does. Like, nobody's ever told me what a Spider-Pig does, but Spider-Pig does do it. Brad says, I basically say because you don't have to pick a side. I never picked a side during the Monday Night Wars. Yeah, you don't have to. I don't watch much AEW because I don't have time. It's very rare, as you guys know, that I'm doing a show on a weekday. I certainly can't do that for Wednesday as well. Like, this is a special occasion. But because I can't watch AEW all that regularly, I'm not au fait with the storylines. Hi, Jamie. How you doing? Venom says, why doesn't Indy just pair with Candice to reunite? The way it does make sense, because at the moment, that's what Mitchin is for. Mitchin. It's like bitchin, but Mitchin. It's like itching, but Mitchin. It's like witching, but Mitchin. What else is it like? Give me some ideas. Sean says, I was surprised Alexa lost clean to Bianca. Alexa rarely loses clean. Not so much anymore. The idea is there's going to be a brand new version of the Alexa character, which is going to lose a lot less. But at the moment, there's not many people really for her to beat up, apart from, as we've just seen, Candice LeRae. Megan says, snakes are good. Scared of spiders, though, always have been. There are things about them that creep me out sometimes. I don't like the way they move. I also get creeped out by, like, centipedes. The way they sort of undulate. The legs are kind of useless. They're just like... That was a noise. That was a noise. I wonder if I could turn that Spider-Man thing into a short... Or was it too long? I took my time to look up. And is it a show anyone would watch? Probably not. Probably not. To be fair, the shorts have been doing really well recently. If you do any streaming or you have a YouTube channel, I'm telling you, shorts. They are working for me. Peter says Mitchin did nothing there. Waste. Venom says it's bloody obvious. Rhea chooses Bianca. Venom says, can anyone from Raw go for Charlotte? Nope. You'd have to win the Rumble for it. Which is confusing because, like, Asuka would be perfect. Would be perfect. Christoph says, Candice, Johnny, Dexter, Indy. I hope Hunter will somehow find the way. Stuart says, Spider Pig leaves trotter prints on the roof is what he does. Well, that is whatever a Spider Pig does, Sam. Oh, Mick. How you doing, mate? Mick Henno here says, nice to have you here on a Monday for a Raw watch-along. Indeed, I'm certainly enjoying it. It's been a good Raw so far. 2 very good matches to start with. A solid promo from Cody. Of course, it really hinges on what comes next with Rhea, but the first hour has actually gone by pretty quickly. So I'm happy with that. Hope you're good, Mick. How you doing? Connor says, I agree, wearing shorts on YouTube does great things. That's true, you keep doing it while in my cupboard, so I have a real itchy nose, I'm getting real dry, I might just be too warm, I need to pop up and open a door. Peter says, it's true, 3.3k views on one of my shorts. Oh, you're beating me then, my record so far is 1.9 thousand, not views. Sometimes they just go viral, and because of the way YouTube has set them up, starting literally in 2 days, you can monetize shorts. So every shorts view will make you some money. Venom says, only reason I don't stay up for Raw usually is because it's on too bloody long, and 2, I like to have something to watch in the morning, which is fair. Absolutely fair. We're getting a recap now of Rhea Ripley's win at the Royal Rumble. Dom says maybe Rhea rights her wrong and Asuka faces and wins against Bianca. I do think, like, I'm not certain who the challenge will be for. I'm not. Honestly, I think they can successfully book pretty much for anything. But I also think there's every possibility we're about to see a Rhea Ripley Nia Jax match. You can't rule it out. You can't. Kieran says, I wonder what the CPM is going to be like on shorts. I forget sometimes how many creators we have in this channel. Like, there's a lot. You guys know your stuff. I'm really not sure. I can't imagine it'll be too high because you won't get ads every single video. It won't be shorts feed, short ad. It won't be like that. So it'll be split, it'll be shared, and it'll be a bit luck of the draw. I think it'll take them a while to really nail it down. But hey, more money. More money, you know? That's the infamous saying. They're really highlighting Asuka in this recap as well. Oh, Nia Jax. If this was a one-time thing, they wouldn't be highlighting Nia Jax's return. Probably. Sean is asking, am I going to see Ant-Man Quantumania? Probably. I like Marvel. I just don't think it's been great recently. Kieran says, I imagine it would be like TikTok, as you very rarely see ads on that and it pays pennies. YouTube have promised that's not going to be the case. You get 45% of all revenue that YouTube makes from shorts. So I think that's pretty good, but I don't know what those numbers will actually entail. The thing to point out, of course, is YouTube is on a mission right now. YouTube live streaming has beaten Twitch. Past tense, it's beaten Twitch. Twitch's lack of discoverability has buried it. And over the next couple of years, I don't see Twitch surviving, to be completely honest. You also get a much higher revenue share on YouTube and much higher discoverability, as I mentioned. They're making changes, including the ability to now send raids on YouTube, which are exactly what you get from Twitch, but also with it being YouTube behind you. So there's no real competition. They've beaten Twitch, which is, of course, now why they're working on shorts. Because next, the job is to beat TikTok. I'll be interested to hear the reception for Rhea. I'd imagine this is one of those moments where she can actually be respected. Kieran says, Twitch is weird. They banned gambling a few months ago, and now TwitchCon is going to be held in Las Vegas. And we all know what that city is known for. Right. Dumb weddings. Connor says, I really wish Nia Jax was not staying on the roster. Yeah, a lot of people agree with you on that one. We haven't really clarified where she'll be. I would imagine... I don't like saying it, but you guys will have heard me on spoiler warning earlier. I still think there's every possibility that we get Nia Jax versus Bianca Belair. I still think there's every possibility of it. Until the end of this segment, I'm going to believe that Nia Jax is going to be involved in something. Venom says, right now the only believable challenger for Charlotte at Mania is Raquel. Outside of, as we've mentioned, Nia Jax, Asuka. If they want to keep Charlotte as a face, Nia Jax is kind of their best option. Venom thinks Liv could win the next Rumble. They've not made the decision yet, but they're certainly making a point that we've not forgotten about her. Liv Morgan saying, don't you forget about me. Don't. Touches you there, you know, right where you live. Good booze for Rhea. She's out here solo. Rare. Good start. Immediate reference to her Latino heat. It's not often Rhea gets the opportunity to stand alone like this. I'm confident she'll do well with it. Connor wants Nia to go back to NXT. We need to know where she's going first. She's able to walk pretty comfortably, so between the nose and the dislocated knee, seems to be absolutely fine. Clearly no injury. I don't believe for a second she's going to make her choice yet. It just doesn't make sense. Drag it out. Make some money. Sell some merch. Andy says, I wouldn't mind Bianca versus Nia. Something different. Venom says, the Women's Chamber, Raw or SmackDown Chamber? That depends on Rhea Ripley. She's 27. It's not even fair. She's given us context and history, but not necessarily making a decision. Sean says I wouldn't mind Alexa versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. No chance Alexa would win that. Sean says possible Rhea picks Roxanne. It's not impossible. I don't find it likely. Rhea's sort of beyond Roxanne right now. NXT has firmly taken a step back since the days where Rhea Ripley was champion. Some woos from the crowd. Little mockery there for Charlotte. Venom at the moment, she's giving context. She is not making her choice yet. If anything, picking Charlotte would really be conflicting for a lot of fans. Peter says, did she just say my dom-dom? I think I just threw up. She did. Her Latino heat, her dom-dom. Dominator of dominators. Venom says, they've announced Rhea will make decision today. Well, we'll see how it goes. Sure sounds like she's picking Charlotte Flair there. Now, to be clear, guys, we did talk about this earlier. Rhea Ripley chose Charlotte Flair for several reasons. It's not just about Charlotte Flair. It also means that Dominic Mysterio can now make appearances on Monday Night Raw and continue his feud with Rey Mysterio. Going to send a tweet stating so. It's the only thing that really makes sense, to be fair. It also means we can start Judgment Day moving to SmackDown, which, considering how they've been working, seems like the only sensible choice. Rhea Ripley could only really challenge Charlotte Flair. It means Dominic can go to SmackDown and harass Rey before WrestleMania. Judgment Day can start a move to the blue brand that will complete come the draft. Also, the match is guaranteed fantastic. Easy. Seth Rollins is backstage celebrating his earlier win with Kathy Kelly. Wants the US Championship for Mania. No mention of Logan Paul so far. Go on, Kathy Kelly. She's asked for comment on Logan Paul, further making it clear that that's where Seth's headed. Sean says the Women's Chamber will be to determine who faces Bianca. That means Becky, Bayley, Asuka, potentially Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, Alexa Bliss. It's a good selection. I don't think we can debate that. It's a very, very good selection. Opens up a lot more opportunities from where I'm sitting personally. Connor says, can Rhea pick Roman, please? I mean, I wouldn't hate it. It'd be a great match. Venom says, Rhea could never beat Charlotte. Well, you say that, but I definitely see that changing. Justin says, who does Bianca now? Asuka? I think Asuka's probably up there. Asuka or Jax, but they brought Asuka back and she looks like a monster. I'd take that. Venom says, it does make sense. It makes sense for revenge, but does this mean the Judgment Day breaks up? No, I think Judgment Day are going with her. Stuart says it's going to be another classic. Last time was good. Traffic says the same. They're going to be a classic. Calling it now. Can't wait for that match. Tommy B says Rhea versus Flair will be good. Venom says Charlotte beat Rhea for both Raw and SmackDown titles. Do you think Rhea finally beats Charlotte? I don't believe she beat her for a SmackDown title. I believe it... Yes, Venom, you've clarified. It was an NXT championship. Best of 3 and all that jazz, but Rhea Ripley should have it this year. She absolutely should have it this year. Brad says, will be great. We know we're getting a quality match. And that's all we really need to know. That's another match guaranteed for WrestleMania, alongside Cody versus Roman, alongside rumoured matches such as Seth versus Logan Paul, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos, and plenty more to come, which we will be discussing as and when they happen. Over the next couple of days, I'll be releasing a few different videos onto my YouTube channel. We will be, well, if you're watching on YouTube, then here. Included will be a bit of a deep dive into who is Uncle Howdy. And, of course, in addition to that, the Mania card as it's being put together as we speak. I'm worrying a lot less about when to upload videos. I've just started uploading videos recently, and honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. Works for me. Venom says she becomes Grand Slam champ if she wins, and she will hold a record as the youngest woman to do so. Joey says, hey Tom, who do you think challenges Bianca now? I think we get an Elimination Chamber match featuring the best of Monday Night Raw, all going for the opportunity. I do think Asuka's in with a good shout here. I definitely have Becky and Bayley in the match. Honestly, I would have Nia Jax in the match. Alexa Bliss, obviously Asuka. And then there's one more slot for someone new and rising. I would go Candice LeRae there personally. You know, I can work with the rest of it. Joey says, I think Asuka would be a good choice. Has a lot of momentum right now after coming back with her old gimmick. I agree. Absolutely agree. I also think if you're going to bring Nia Jax in, having her in an Elimination Chamber with Becky Lynch and Asuka, who she already has plenty of history with, there's plenty you can work with there. And honestly, that's probably a better use of her. Venom says, Becky better win that chamber and beat Bianca at Mania. Not the plan as far as I can tell. Stuart says, is Piper Niven not on Raw? Would like to see her given a chamber slot. Good shout. That's a good shout. That's a good way to push someone as well. Give them the opportunity. Everyone's going to be watching that chamber. The event is starting to take shape. So we already have the United States Championship match in the chamber. I strongly believe we're going to get a women's number one contendership match in the chamber. We're looking at potentially Roman versus Sami. It's already starting to shape up pretty well. We also haven't really looked at the potential matchups for Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. So a lot to cover, to be fair. A lot to cover. Bayley says, where does Damage Control go from here, or do they break up soon? I don't think they break up soon. I think they've got quite a long time left together. I think Bayley and Damage Control will have separate matches, actually during WrestleMania. I think Becky versus Bayley on one side, and Iyo and Dakota are working with some new tag teams, one of which will be Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Megan says, gonna have to call it a night. Fighting to stay awake over here and rapidly losing. Hope everyone has a good week. Thanks for dropping in, Megan. Great to see you. And I hope you get a nice long sleep. Sean says, Iyo and Dakota defend at Chamber. I don't think so. I just don't think there'll be room on the card. But WrestleMania, definitely. They need to rebuild the women's tag division. We may have already seen the start of that earlier on tonight. Another view of Bray Wyatt. There was a view of Brock Lesnar earlier. Pat McAfee. Lukewarm response. They don't really know him there. Traffic wants Nikki Cross in the chamber. Venom says, imagine Piper and Nia both in the chamber. We can work with that. We can work with that. Christoph says, Rhea picked Charlotte. I'm very surprised, but your booking explanation on it actually made a lot of sense. I didn't think about it. By all means include that in whatever article you're writing about it. Venom says, Alba Fire would be amazing in the chamber. I do agree with that. She works well in that environment. Now, they did advertise the Bloodline imploding on Monday Night Raw. I remain confident all we're going to get is a recap, but once again, they are advertising it and saying Raw tonight. Raw tonight. Happy Corbin up next. Versus Johnny Gargano, and honestly, I'm not sure who wins this one. I think given that Bronson Reed's a contender, having Gargano win this match and then have Bronson Reed as his natural feuding partner in the chamber itself will be pretty good. I don't really see the value in JBL here. Hector says, if Rhea challenging Charlotte means Asuka winning that chamber is a possibility, then I'm here for it. I do believe that's a possibility, yes. I absolutely believe that. I don't think JBL's actually added much to Corbin. He's speaking less and he's lower down the card than he's ever been. It's not great. Joey says, I think Johnny will win. He needs the win since he hasn't done much so far on the main roster. As I say, Corbin's dropped down the card. He really doesn't need the win. So Johnny Gargano's involvement works for me. Venom says, why are they delaying those desperately needed call-ups? They just need a little more time. That's all they need. They're delaying them because the roster's pretty full. And given that there's a pretty full roster, they are a little worried about what comes next. Christoph says, Bianca versus a heel version of Asuka. I would love it. It's fresh. It is, and they are thinking fresh matchups for WrestleMania. I think that's a perfect start. Connor says, Gargano better win this after what happened to Baron in the Rumble. He got a little bit battered. He did get a little bit battered. Decent response to Gargano from the crowd. He was big in NXT, but main roster crowds haven't really warmed to him so far. Joey says, I hate Corbin's new gimmick. All of his recent ones have sucked. I want the lone wolf back. I wouldn't mind the sheriff. Dexter Lumis is coming down to ringside with Johnny Gargano. I really don't think the Dexter Lumis character is working on the main roster. And it's causing some issues for me. Venom says, I swear to God, if Johnny doesn't win here, I'm going to lose it. Johnny is a wrestling god. Corbin is a wrestling clown. I wouldn't go so far. Like, calm down, mate. Relax. Sean says, I wonder if Roman had flashbacks to Seth smacking him with a chair when Sammy smacked him with the chair. The way he crumpled certainly suggests that he remembered. Hector says, I could see Fury losing the title at the Chamber, especially if the plan is him and Cena at Mania. Then he could open up another match with the new challenger and their opponent. Certainly could. I mean, if it's someone like Bronson Reed, it's a great opportunity for them. I still think it's possible that John Cena is in that Chamber match, though. After all, he and the United States Championship have some good history. We are 77 minutes into the show. We are starting our third match of the night. It shows how much Triple H is working to make sure every match gets room and space. He does like to work with one match per half an hour. That includes pay-per-views. That also includes Raw and SmackDown, where we've seen 4 matches on SmackDown recently. And 5, 6, 7, etc. on Raw. Logically, this match should be fairly simple. Johnny Gargano working in the Daniel Bryan role. Baron Corbin working in the Kane role. Nothing particularly fancy in it. He's even done a big boot already just to make it very clear. Brayster says, did they ever explain why Corbin and JBL are hanging out? Not really, not satisfactorily. Not in a way that interests me as a fan. I do feel they could definitely do better on that. Stewart says, if they want Gargano to catch on, stick him against Gable in a proper feud. The matches would get him over easily. You say that, but main roster crowds, they don't really care about great wrestling. There are too many great wrestlers on the rosters. Too many. To a point where a great wrestling match doesn't really mean anything anymore. Particularly when you look at the quality of pay-per-views like we've just had. Just having great exhibition matches doesn't really get you over. And I think that's what Triple H is learning from his use of Johnny Gargano so far. Christoph says, I would see more Michin in the Chamber instead of Candice, but they would both fit in. Venom says, it's pissing me off. I've waited over a goddamn month for my Johnny t-shirt. It's supposedly coming this week, but I believe it when I see it. Hey, you may keep waiting, mate. Although I will say, Johnny Gargano's t-shirts, historically, very good stuff. Very good stuff. Thank you very kindly, Brayster. That's a very nice thing that you've just done. Brayster has gifted a membership, a channel membership, to the chat. It has landed as luck of the draw with Traffic. Traffic has gained a channel membership. Thank you kindly, Brayster, for your generosity, your additional generosity to the gift, the donation earlier on as well. FDR says, main roster WWE is more about characters and storytelling than about the actual wrestling itself. It is indeed. It absolutely is. there is always an opportunity when you're in this chat that someone will gift a membership, and then it's completely random as to who gains it. Completely random. We've seen people give 1 or 2, at times 5 or 10, because of overall. We have very, very generous people here. So it is complete luck of the draw, whether or not you get it or not. But if you do, I try to keep it going. Venom says, I seem to always get unlucky and never get one. Unfortunately, that does happen at times as well. You sort of get where you luck of the draw, and unfortunately, some people don't have the luck. Brayster says, always, Tom, we appreciate everything you do here and on the Torch. Thank you, Brayster. I know you're a big fan of Nick and Tom's. Hopefully you enjoyed the one this week, which was recorded on Tuesday on this YouTube channel. So always a fun one. And I would imagine there's going to be a lot for Nick and I to talk about this upcoming week. So hopefully you enjoy that one too. Connor says, I've also ordered a wrestling t-shirt recently. Got mine from PWTs. I believe it was Jay Briscoe, where all the money goes to the family. It's a sick shirt. Joey says, when do you think Matt Riddle will return? It really does depend. Because at the moment, there's a lot going on in his life. A lot of which I can't really talk about on here. So, a lot going on. Andrew says, chat, Tom, did Damage Control lose? They did not. Iyo Sky picked up the win over Candice LeRae. That was the only match the Damage Control have been involved in so far. You never know. Dakota Kai may also pop up. Eric says, who do you think wins the women's chamber match? Mine is Asuka. Asuka, yeah, I definitely would go in that direction. Though if Nia Jax is involved in the match, that would be perfect for me. Joey says, as regards Matt Riddle, hopefully he's back in time for Mania. Venom says, I'm literally going to scream at the postman and say, took long enough. It's not the postman's fault, though. Not the postman's fault. Brayster says, loved it, enjoyed it since episode 1, and will continue to support. Thank you, Brayster. There were definitely times when we had no idea anyone was even listening. So the show sort of changed on that basis, and it became more about just us having fun. And actually, as it's turned out, I think that's what people are enjoying most about the show. No Carmelina, I still have full sound. I'm not sure what's gone on your side, but it sounds like you're having a bit of bad luck yourself. Joey says, I hope we get a Riddle and Orton match eventually. Maybe, but we are waiting to hear more as regards the recovery of Randy Orton. He's apparently recovering ahead of schedule, but schedule wasn't particularly promising, so it's not a huge victory in that regard. Andrew says, the thing is, I hope Bayley doesn't come out there because she'll probably get booed with a 49ers response. Bayley has already come out. She's already been out there with Iyo Sky earlier on in the day. FDR has now also gifted a channel membership to the channel. That has gone to Carmelina, who has received it. Thank you kindly. Thank you very much, FDR. A lot of generosity over the last few shows. I've got to say, the revenue on the channel has shot up because of the generosity. And I just want to say massive thanks to both of you, to FDR, and of course to Brayster, for the gifts to the channel there. I'm continuing to work on behind the scenes content. What I'm planning to talk about next is Sasha Banks and the reporting that I did around Sasha. So I'll be discussing a lot of my previous reports, when and where I got certain piece of information, when and where the stories changed. Venom, that's not how it works. That's not how it works, mate. Look at the draw. And to be fair, if you want one, you can always sign up. They don't have to be gifted. Brayster says, I've never seen Zoe Stark before the Rumble. Looking forward to her main roster call-up. She had a very good showing. I do feel that Zoe Stark had a better showing than Roxanne did. Connor says, also Tom, thoughts on the old football. Liverpool not doing the best and United doing much better than I thought we would. As regards United, it was only ever a matter of time for me. Eric Ten Hag tried to get Harry Maguire playing a quick, short passing game at the back and playing it out of defence. That was never going to work. A few personnel changes, a few strategy changes, a bit of time to work out the tactics. It was always going to start working. Ten Hag is a very, very good coach. As regards Liverpool, wow, bad year. Bad year. And Gakpo not really setting the world alight either yet. Christoph says Lone Wolf version of Corbin was good. He lost his appeal at the same time he lost his hair, basically. Thank you for that, Peter. There are many perks to the membership as well. First and foremost, you get the table emote. If you're currently a member, please drop some tables into the channel. All you have to do is add a colon, then it's Hue, H-U-E, table, add another colon, and there'll be a table right there ready for you to put in, because as we all know, everything is on the table. Thank you, Peter. Sean says Chelsea is back on the rise. They're certainly spending a lot of money. Brad says, I think if Orton wrestles again, it'll be sadly as a tag team wrestler exclusively. To be fair, that's basically what he was when he picked up his injury. Thank you, FDR, for the tables as well. Sean says, how has Last of Us been, Tom? Anything like the game? Similar enough that I don't feel shortchanged, but different enough that it's a new and diverse and interesting story. First episode really gripped me, really exciting. Second episode a bit more functional. There were a couple of things I wasn't particularly happy about, but I think that's because of my superfan status. Episode 3 is the biggest change I could possibly imagine. I did not see the entire thing changing in that regard, but it changed in a very positive way. I really enjoyed the episode. I did a lot of crying. Dexter Lumis has a hand axe. He's attacked JBL's hat. Gave Johnny Gargano a thumbs up. Not out of the woods now, though. Corbin's still in the match. Reverse the end of days into the inside cradle. That felt like a quick count to me. But ultimately, Johnny Gargano has picked up the win. Not a big surprise. As regards Last of Us, I highly recommend it, Sean. It is very much worth watching. I'm absolutely loving it. Hector says, I'm very curious on how much Pepsi paid WWE for the Pitch Black sponsor, because that stuff was all over the Rumble and the press conference. Paid them a lot. Paid them a lot. Bayley says, is Chelsea Green's character the same as Carmella's? Nope. Nope, they are very different characters. And Sean says, Johnny, the United States champion, which is certainly not an impossibility. A lot of change could happen. A lot of change could happen in that chamber match. Stuart just says, yes, Carmelina dropping 2 tables in the chat as well. Brad said, they're changing in a good way. I cried. I cried, yep. Blubbered like a fish. Blubbered like a fish. The game makes me cry 5 times over the course of it. So far, the TV show's made me cry 3, and there's still 7 episodes left. Stuart says, Gargano wins. Venom says, yes, Johnny wins. Keyshawn quite rightly points out, back-to-back roll-ups. And Traffic points out, JBL looks disgusted. We are approaching halfway through WWE Raw. So far the show's been good, though not exactly blowing the doors off. Promos from Cody and Rhea Ripley have been the highlights. The matches have been okay, serviceable, started pretty strong. That one was a bit worse, but that felt a bit like a bit of fan service, a bit of cheap pop. Not particularly exciting. They have promised us the bloodline imploding. We know that we are going to get Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor. So there is plenty of stuff still to come. Austin Theory up next with MVP. MVP, formerly someone who was challenging for the United States Championship when it was held by Apollo Crews. Bobby Lashley, who held the United States Championship, really did a lot of good work of it, and it propelled him to the WWE Championship. Venom says, I would love Johnny to be US champ, but I don't see Theory losing it. Not yet, anyway. Brad Becker says, Season 2 confirmed, which is very exciting again. There are slight changes made to one of the characters. The character in question is Angrier. I believe this is with a nod to Season 2, where said character will be Angrier. And I'll leave it there. No spoilers in the chat, please. I'm trying not to myself, but I appreciate that I really don't have to tell you guys this. You're smart enough to not spoil things, and you're doing a great job of it already. Christoph says, anyone but Nia at WrestleMania, please. I don't want the EST to get injured. Stuart says, JBL lost a hat to the axe. Venom says, Tom, I noticed I never asked, what is your job? What do you do? I'm a YouTuber, mate. You're watching me on YouTube as we speak. Right here. Right here. Kieran says, my brother is playing Last of Us Part 1 on Steam when it releases next month, and as we share Steam accounts, I get to play it again. I hope your brother enjoys it. It was a it was a life-changing moment for me. A life-changing moment playing that game for the first time. It got me back into gaming, just in general. It made me realize sort of what I want from my life. I don't think I would be where I am now if not for that game. Now, my family has not played the game. My family, particularly the girls, are quite young, so I'm not going to make them play the game. Well, my sister has. My sister has. So next up, my sister will be playing part 2 before we move on. Oh, but it's going to be so good. I'm very excited. Very excited. Very excited. Traffic says, if I own the game but still haven't gotten around to playing it, would you recommend I play the game first or watch the show now? I would recommend playing the game first. There are many changes in the TV show which you may be expecting in the game. It does mean that because of those changes, the game very much stands alone and separate, but because of how episode 1 goes, play the game first. That's what I would personally recommend. Peter says, wish they would take the tape off Sonya's eyebrow. No, you don't want that. You don't want that. Carmelina says, Dexter Lumis is so funny. The extreme is working for him, though it does feel a bit like Shanky doing the dancing on the outside. Bit out of place for me. Connor says, we can't spoil things. It's not. Spoiler warning. Fair. Venom, I'm going to go ahead and no comment on that one and not give too much detail on my day job. I do like to keep a little bit to myself, which is of course why the family in question, I've never named them. I just use certain codes and the like. Hope you respect that. If not, there may be an issue. FDR says Last of Us is a whole lot of fun, and Peter says Tom is a stunt double for Dwayne Johnson. Wow. Venom says, can't wait for the War Games match in the new WWE game. I'm excited to see what they do with GM mode. Now that it's been firmly established in 2K22, how are they going to expand it for 23? I reckon they've got a lot to talk about there. WWE hyping up their own viewership. Stating that the Saturday's Royal Rumble was the most watched in history. They are once again hyping up the Batista film before we go to MVP in the VIP lounge with some very, very big couches. I'd imagine this one's going to get quite busy and we're going to see quite a lot of people. MVP doesn't look particularly happy right now. I don't know if maybe he's not feeling too well. Shh, Peter, shh. Connor says, I just want GM mode to be online. Would love to do a game against some mates. Same. I was planning to stream it with Ed and just play online against each other. It would have been great fun, but I sort of lost a lot of excitement when I found out that was not happening. Kieran says, it was one of the first story games I've ever played. Before that, I was only a COD and sports game player. Now I play so many story games and just NBA, really. Yeah, I historically play like grandiose story games, Final Fantasy, for example. I fell out of love with gaming for a long time. When we'd firmly moved away from the platformers, the Marios, the Sonics, that was my era. That was very much my era. And then I saw a trailer for The Last of Us and thought, I'm going to get back into gaming. I also can't help but... I also can't resist a good Resident Evil game. Haven't played any of the new ones. I keep waiting for the right time, but... Oh, Horizon Zero Dawn as well. That was a great game. At Venom, you got a couple of options for membership. We have a $1 a month membership, so $12 a year. We have a $5 a month membership, so $60 a year. And if you want to go insane, there's a $25 a month membership, which of course means $300 a year. They all give you the exact same thing. They're just options of how much you want to donate. The $1 is the cheapest one. It gets you access to everything just the same. At this point in time, my plan is not to have membership perks such as, for example, members only chat. It'd be kind of awkward for a spoiler warning. That said, we've had a lot of comments recently, and if we get to the point where we're just too busy, we might have to. Austin Theory getting some significant boos. MVP already not happy with him. Kevin says Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair is going to wait a little longer. It is. The match was supposed to be going on for Money in the Bank, but here we are, still not having had it yet. Venom says imagine Omos in the chamber. Could be Theory having stuff to do with MVP. Andrew says I like Iyo Sky and Dakota Kai but not Bayley. In the past I used to like her when she was a face, but she's a god-awful heel now. Disagree with you on that one. I quite liked the heel element. I didn't think she was going to be as successful as she has been. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. Traffic says I'm currently playing Nier Automata for the first time. I don't know if you ever played it, but man, it's amazing. I've heard great things. When I played Final Fantasy XIV, which was only a couple of years ago, they did a whole Nier Automata section in that game where they just did a retelling of the story. Seemed fun. FDR says GM mode is probably going to add a mid-card championship, maybe add up some match types like a Fatal 4-Way. My faction is going online, I think. That'd be cool. The ability to do triple threat matches would also be quite fun. Christoph says I can already see a lot of bad reactions regarding Rhea's choice. Many people wanted Rhea to be the one dethroning Bianca, and to be honest, so was I. MVP is definitely getting very annoyed with Austin Theory, and I can't blame him. Kieran says, have you played any of the Uncharted? Yes, I played all of the Uncharted. It was already up to Uncharted 3 when I actually bought them, but they were fun. Haven't played that one, Sean, but certainly I've seen the film. The crowd are giving really strong reactions to Austin Theory. I do think he's an amazing US champion. Though I do want to point out the only face champions now are the women. I do like that MVP is ad-libbing quite a bit here. When you put two heels together, you're undoubtedly going to get this moment. They're just about to go for the jugular. You can smell it. Peter says, my day job is Tom's accountant. I'm snowed under right now. It's a good time to be Tom Colohue, that's all I'll say. It is a very good time to be Tom Colohue. 2022 was the year of Tom Colohue. Like, it just was. I don't even feel that's any sort of gloat. I just had an incredible year. A lot of people are afraid to reach 30. Life gets so much better. It really does. Venom sees Omos coming out. How would Omos be eliminated if he's in there? Great question. We should ask it all the time. Eric says, favourite WWE video game you've ever played? I was there for the N64 games. WrestleMania 2000, where they had the Road to WrestleMania mode, and I always lost to Kane at King of the Ring for some reason. No Mercy very much worked for me, and I think No Mercy's still it, personally. I haven't played a lot of the more recent ones. I think I got 2K14 just to give it a try. Didn't really do it for me. Brad says, wait till 40, man. Not too far off, to be honest. And hey, if this YouTube goes well, I could potentially retire and go full-time on YouTube when I'm 40. I only do a few hours a week on here, and to be honest, it works out pretty well for me. Peter says, do I add the Ferrari as a tax write-off? I was literally doing my taxes earlier today, Peter, so it's quite funny that you say stuff like that. It's quite funny. I had to pay my own taxes. I can't afford an accountant. It sucks. I've got to be honest, Austin Theory MVP is not really doing it for me. They're both heels. I can't cheer for them. But it's sounding like Bobby might be in the chamber. I'm confident Bobby's there. Still expecting to see some Brock. I haven't seen The Miz tonight either. Venom doesn't want Bobby. Eric said I didn't know Austin needed glasses. He doesn't. They're fake. They're heel glasses. Austin Theory is threatening Bobby Lashley. That's dumb. Sean says, I don't think Austin Theory is the future. I don't see anything special about him. I personally do. He gets very strong reactions. Austin Theory pushed the Brock button. He shouldn't have did that. Can't help but notice that Bobby Lashley is dressed to fight. Strong reaction. Strong reaction. Security just getting out the way. Bobby Lashley is supposed to be the heel in the feud of Brock Lesnar. We'll see how that plays out, because MVP is an important part of that. Kieran says, I'm only a few years away from 30 and have achieved nothing in life. That's usually how it goes, Kieran. People don't realise, but that is usually how it goes. Your 20s are a time to just be bad at pretty much everything. And learn from those mistakes. But make a lot of mistakes. Bobby has already thrown a table at Austin Theory. Now he's setting the ring up for a spear. A loud Bobby chant. Very loud. Bayley says, how many different taxes do you have to pay in the UK? Income tax, national insurance. Theory dragged MVP into the way, and it's MVP who took the spear. A good escape for Austin Theory there. MVP not feeling great right now. So it looks like we've not really moved on from the US Championship. Bobby Lashley might well be in the Elimination Chamber, which does suggest that Brock Lesnar might be in the Elimination Chamber as well, one way or another. Byron Saxon is backstage trying to talk to Finn Balor. Rhea Ripley clearly not happy he's there. And then I've got corporation tax and a few more. Kieran says I've drove a few go-karts into tyre walls, to be fair. That's an achievement, mate. I know you're trying to say that's the mistake, but that's an achievement. Finn Balor's angry that he didn't get to go 30th. Finn Balor's going to be taxing some people himself. Sean says, I want Finn as a face again. Well, Sean, all you got to do is go to events, start cheering whenever he's there, and see if people pick up on it, because I think they might. Venom says, Bobby just got screwed by Brock and not win. We'll just get screwed by Brock and not win. Yeah, absolutely. Kevin says, favourite open world game. I really like Final Fantasy 15. When it comes to open worlds, I struggle with them a bit because of my OCD. So, for example, Skyrim. I did the opening section. I walked out into the world, and it was like, you can do whatever you want. So I turned off the game because that's too much option for someone with OCD. I started to panic. It's too much. And I haven't played it since. Horizon Zero Dawn was good, primarily because you could get on the map, you could just do that bit, then that bit, then that bit, and just then big circle. There were options. Venom says Finn needs to one day reclaim the Universal title. I don't see it. I think he's very much like AJ Styles in that area where he's kind of the Farouk of Judgment Day at this point. Dominic's overtaken Damian Priest as well. Connor says, did only fools and horses not teach you anything, Tom? No income tax, no VAT, no money back, no guarantee. No guarantee. See? You heard it yourself. Never trust no guarantee. Never. One thing I really like about these watch parties is how much we sort of wander off topic. how much we just go a little bit crazy in every possible direction. I lose track of what's going on in the actual game. We now need just 3 subscribers to reach 2100. We're on 2097. If you're able to help, please consider doing so. Corbin says, any GTA or Far Cry game? GTA, yes. I played Vice City, really liked it. Played San Andreas, liked it even more. I've played 5 off and on. I play it for so long, then I go online, get lost in the online, and then get bored of it, so I stop. Then start the game again, play for so long, then go online, and then do the exact same thing again. But what I do like about GTA, you get in a bike and just driving around. Literally just going wandering. It's a great game for that. Peter says, this time next year, Tom, we'll be a millionaire. Yeah, baby, it's all about the table. That's what I need. If I'm doing merch, and I've been talking about this for a while, you guys know this. If I'm doing merch, I just want a t-shirt with a table on it. Just a picture of a table. It'll fit in so well at a wrestling show. So well. I'll just maybe slide the name in there somewhere to advertise the show, but it would fit in so well. Especially at a TLC event. Camelina says, I know this is not SmackDown, but I'm actually excited to see how the story continues on Friday with the Bloodline. Me too. The Bloodline are definitely the top story in wrestling at the moment. FDR says, the radio stations feature in GTA are top notch, and I discovered a lot of music because of it. Andrew says, commercial break. Indeed. We've got another draw segment coming up. I'll be interested to see who's playing that particular one. Bayley says one of the reasons many WWE talent live in Florida is a lack of a state income tax there. I did not know that. Ron DeSantis clearly doing a terrible job again. Truly awful. Truly awful. We have an hour and about 10 minutes left. The second hour has also travelled pretty quickly, to be fair. There's more commercial breaks than I'd like, but that's not really down to WWE, is it? Connor says, if the table is on the t-shirt, then not everything will be on the table because the table is on the shirt. You're right. What I need to do is create many designs, some of which have the table with something on, some of which have the table with something else on, some of which have the table with something else on. No, I've nailed it. So you draw the table, and on top of it you put the word everything. Just like that, everything is on the table. Brad says it wasn't him, it's been that way forever. Who's him? I'm confused. Venom says if you get into NXT after watching the pay-per-view, will there maybe be one? One what? There's going to be NXT pay-per-views, I'm sure. Kevin says, favourite country you want to visit? I really like to go into Venice, so more of Italy is definitely on the agenda. Haven't been to Spain yet, which is weird when you consider that I speak a bit of Spanish. Sean says, a friend of mine finished God of War Ragnarok, said 4 was the hardest boss, he's playing it again to platinum it. I've platinumed nothing and I'm okay with that. Ghost, hello. Says hello again, Tom and chat. Hope everyone is enjoying the show. Welcome, Ghost. Kieran says, I've started watching Only Fools and Horses again. Brilliant show. I think I accidentally called The Miz on that one. Sean says, was Cody winning the Rumble to make up for him not winning Money in the Bank? No. Also kind of yes. Kieran says, I prefer Red Dead Redemption to GTA. Really sucks they didn't care for the online. But makes sense with how much GTA Online makes. I heard bad things about Red Dead Online. But yeah, GTA Online is the reason we haven't had GTA 6 yet. Kieran says, that's also why streamers live in Texas as there's no income tax. Right, okay. Not aware of that. That explains why Republicans get so many votes there. Miz is just guaranteed that people are going to chant first man out at him. Like, you made that happen. Yeah, a lot of people on Twitter really not happy that Rhea challenged Charlotte. I don't get it personally. Connor says, my God, he's only gone and done it. FDR says, Spain can be fun. No, Venom, there are not going to be NXT watch-alongs. That's not going to happen. I've told you why, and I'm standing by it. Christoph says, do you think Roman double duty at WrestleMania is still on the table? Promise if that happened, I'll put you on my page. You were the first one who reported it. You deserve that credit. I do think there's still a possibility of that. I get it. It works perfectly fine for me. If there is, of course, going to be a Steve Austin match, double duty will definitely happen. Tommy says, I think Miz wanted a high five. Rick Boogs has come to Monday Night Raw. I've been talking about the Boogs return for a couple of weeks now. The dude's extremely close to being back. And then we'll see him in action in no time. So here he is. Rick Boogs returning. Kervin says last year GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition was a disaster. It was, mostly because you could find the games individually and it was still good anyway. Luvens is disappointed with Boogs. Andrew says, will WrestleMania still have Rock versus Roman Reigns? No, it's not a case of still. There was never any plan for WrestleMania to feature The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Never. So it's not a case of it still happening. It was never going to happen. Boogs, of course, has been split from Shinsuke Nakamura here, which is a surprise to me. I very much expected they were going to return to the tag team. Sean says, I figured most wrestlers lived in Florida to be close to the Performance Center. That may, to be fair, be why the Performance Center's there. Adam Pearce cannot make that much of... The Miz is literally wearing a suit. This is not fair. Why are you doing this to The Miz? Why have you rung the bell? At least let him get dressed. Yeah, he's about to be destroyed. The first thing Boogs does after maintaining a knee injury because of lifting people is lift people. Very Boogs. I'm going to miss the commercials that Boogs and Nakamura did for the Canyonero. I know it's not actually called the Canyonero, but you know what I mean. Ghost says, I assume that people are upset about Rhea choosing Charlotte because Rhea versus Bianca seemed like the fresher option. Especially because we saw the Rhea Charlotte match at Mania only 3 years ago. And we've seen more of it since, let's be fair. Money in the Bank, I believe, 2 years ago was a Rhea Ripley Charlotte match as well. The Miz has lost his shoe. Just the one, so far. Give it time. Imagine how annoying wrestling in a suit would be. Rick Boogs is doing the thing that injured him. He wasn't sure on that one. That's his finisher. His finisher is the thing that injured him. Sean says, not necessarily, Tom. Nakamura could be moved to Raw and they could be a team again. Very much true. After all, a draft is fairly soon incoming. Only about 3 months now. Boogs is back, picks up a quick, easy win. Doesn't have to press himself particularly hard. His knees are a bit more braced up nowadays. Yes, as first reported here on Spoiler Warning, Rick Boogs have returned. Chad Gable and Otis backstage. They've encountered Triple M, who seem very confused by their existence. I think Max Dupree's going to try and get Otis, and I don't like it. I also don't hate it. I just worry that what's going to happen is that Chad Gable's going to lose out. The Bloodline imploding is going to be our 3rd hour draw segment. But again, I'm pretty sure it's still just a recap. What do we got? FDR says, which is better, Tom? Boogs or Bugenhagen? Boogs. Eric Douglas says, where's Shinsuke? Connor saying Boogs is not with Shinsuke. Venom says, what a massive letdown. I thought it would be an NXT call-up. What a massive letdown. He's just come back from injury, mate. Calm down. Justin doesn't get why he's split. Peter says, yes, baby, my night is complete. Lovin says he had a Freddie Mercury thing going. He still kind of does. I think he should do a flamboyant rock star kind of thing. It would be cool. I think that's exactly what he's doing, to be fair. With all the tassels and stuff. James Kemple says, Mania would be sick if it was Cody versus Roman and then Sami versus Roman. I don't think that's going to happen, but they are looking at someone to give Roman the other match. Venom says, stupid to separate him from Shinsuke. Kervin says, WWE need to start building the women's tag team division. And Justin would have rather seen Pat call that one. Patrick says, Tom is the MVP for doing a Monday Night Raw stream. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate that. Kervin says, Hell in a Cell, Rhea versus Charlotte. It was indeed. Venom says, do you think NXT will be in the draft? There will be call-ups. Hard to say. Lovin says, I think it's good he's separated from Shinsuke, though he was just his guitar-playing sidekick. I get what you're saying. Lovin says, I think Cody versus Finn is going to be WWE's first 5-star match since the Cell match. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Venom says, don't think we're seeing Nia tonight. Well, apparently Carmella's coming back if you believe certain sources. Yeah, fair, Lovins. It was the arm tassels I was thinking, but the black singlet, you are right. Stuart says, oh no, Otis in Triple M clothes. And this is the ideal time to talk about fantasy booking a storyline that I think it was about 5 years ago. Possibly 6. I think it was about 5 years ago I fantasy booked a storyline which I can only refer to as Luke Harper Sex Machine. So this was built around the Fashion Files. So Breezango, Tyler Breeze and Fandango. The idea was that this was while Randy Orton was in the Wyatt family. The idea was that while Bray Wyatt didn't fully trust Luke Harper anymore because of issues that he'd had with Randy Orton, Luke Harper would sort of intentionally take his eye off the ball. And what would happen is, at some point, the fashion police would be going around giving people tickets. Ridiculous. Perfect. And it's just Luke Harper and his wife beater. And then a couple of weeks later, the Wyatt family are backstage. They're cutting a promo. But for some reason, Luke Harper is wearing sunglasses. Nobody mentions it. Nobody discusses it. Everyone moves on with their lives. A couple of weeks later, Luke Harper has sequins on his shirt underneath the dungarees. Bray Wyatt sort of looks at him like, wait, what? And then continues with his promo. A couple of weeks later, they have a match against Breezango. Luke Harper comes out, and at some point during the match, he gets distracted when he's backing up Wyatt and Orton because Fandango puts a hat on him. That's all he is. A hat. Now, I never really went much further than this. It just seemed like a funny idea at the time. But it was always very funny in my head to imagine. Stone Cold Steve Austin's on my TV. What we got? Tommy B says quite rightly, wasn't Sheamus versus Gunter rated a 5-star match? Yes, it was. 2 in quite recent order then. Venom says, why do I keep thinking Chelsea Green is going to get buried? Because you don't trust the WWE. Christoph says, I expected for Boogs to come back on SmackDown with Shinsuke. Hope for him it'll at least get a singles push. We'll see how that one plays out, unfortunately. Sean says, no Alexa tonight, apparently. Interesting. No Bianca Belair yet either. No Becky. So it sounds like quite a few people might be missing. Ghost says, everybody get ready to mourn as we prepare to rewatch the death of Sami Zayn as the honorary Uso. I would have roses ready, but I'm not sure if that's appropriate. Given the context, unfortunately, I would say not. It is just a recap. Roman won't be focused all that much on Cody just yet. He has bloodline business to handle after all. It'll be a little while before Cody becomes his main focus. Elimination Chamber, he'll get rid of anyone who's standing in his way and anyone who's providing a distraction. They've really turned up the crowd noise so you can hear people reacting and not enjoying what's happening. Corbin says Fandango was over with the fans. Indeed. Levin says, I just looked it up. Volta Gunter has 3 5-star matches. That's pretty good, not going to lie. Mr. Stumble says, do you think it was uncalled for ex-con Dom to say something about Cody's father, or is it okay because it's wrestling? I think it comes down to whether or not Cody himself agreed to have it happen. If Cody himself is okay with it being mentioned, then that's all that really matters. At the same time, you've got to remember, it's Dusty Rhodes. To have his name used in a wrestling angle for his son, he'd probably be quite happy about it. Venom says, can we talk about the AOP return? I feel like that's the chat we started but didn't finish. It wasn't. Many, many months ago, I reported that the WWE had been in contact with AOP about bringing them back. This has been reported elsewhere recently. And that's all that we really know at this point in time. Stuart says, it was a beautifully crafted angle, this. I agree. The fact that Sammy immediately turned to Jay as well, because that's who it was between. They slowly realise that Jay is conflicted. Jay loves this man. Jay loves this man. I wasn't ready for him walking away. He just can't do it anymore. The bloodline is torn asunder. And Roman blames Sammy. Stuart says, bet the FU chant is turned down though. Yeah, they hid that one. Venom says, we know Roman won't be defending in the chamber. Not in the chamber, no. Kevin says, what match is better for WrestleMania 39? Asuka versus Bianca or Fatal 4-Way? Bianca, Asuka, Bayley, Becky. I stand by what I said. Bianca versus Asuka and a separate non-title match between Bayley and Becky. Bayley is on her way down to the ring. I'd imagine this is the moment for Becky Lynch. No damage control in tow, interestingly. Just Bayley. Venom says, gotta be Sammy or Jay at the chamber. Lovin says, maybe they'll bring them back to back up a third returning person. Who do you think is fighting for Universal title at Mania, if not Sammy? Stone Cold Steve Austin, probably. Mr. Stumble says, what is Jay versus Roman is a more appropriate Mania match, finishing a 2-year storyline, what if? I think that's certainly possible. The story of the bloodline isn't Sami Zayn. It never has been. The story of the bloodline is Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. That's all it's been that way. Eric says, what is Bayley wearing? A big coat. She's looking a bit 60s. It's a little bit hippie. We just saw the beatdown on Becky. This match, of course, could very much be beforehand. Before WrestleMania. It could be an Elimination Chamber match. Personally, I think we're starting to build to WrestleMania, and this is the one. After all, I did say this was something they were looking at for Mania. We've been promo heavy this week, I feel. We've still got a Bronson Reed match. I've honestly forgotten who he's wrestling. Venom says, surely nobody wants Austin versus Roman. It's obvious Roman would win that. Nobody wants anyone versus Roman. After all, it's obvious he's going to win all of them. It was obvious he was going to win Kevin Owens. It was still worth it. Bayley is celebrating her Royal Rumble performance. Eric suggests, let Liv dominate this clown. She will not be doing so. Bayley says, any news on the former NXT UK talent? Did anyone stay with the company? A few of them did, yes. No one had really liked to discuss. Ghost says, Corey Graves did mention on commentary earlier that Dakota is dealing with an injury from the Rumble. Fair enough. Quite a few people are. It definitely claimed some bodies. Thank you, Kieran. Ziggler. I get why I forgot. So it's exactly as you'd expect. Bayley is gloating about beating Becky, and here comes Becky. With a microphone. I would imagine we're about to get a happy birthday chant. Interesting scene. I think I spotted that. Briefly, at least, Kieran says Dakota got injured before she even entered the ring. She tripped over a cable running in. There's a couple of people who got a bit stuck as well. That's I didn't realise that caused an injury. Thank you, Kieran. Becky's waiting for the crowd to chant something. Lovins wants Roman to beat The Rock. Well, to be fair, if The Rock was going to be there, he would be losing. Venom once again. I wouldn't worry too much about predictability. It's not always a bad thing. Lovins says, that would make him a megastar, I feel like. He's already at his peak as a heel right now. How can you make him even more heated? By beating the most known, most beloved WWE superstar ever. All of this is absolutely correct. I completely get what you're saying. But The Rock is not booked for a match at WrestleMania. So they are discussing a one-on-one match. This is definitely feeling like a Mania one. Bayley at this point just refusing to wrestle would carry us long enough. Cheap pop for Becky. No sign of damage control yet. Iyo Sky, of course, wrestled earlier. Dakota Kai was not particularly involved. Becky was waiting for a happy birthday chant. She's now just said, it's my birthday, to try and get it going. Kieran says there has to be a better way to have cameras ringside to stop all the cables hanging around the entrances and rings. They try and keep them sideways. They literally have someone behind every camera leading and holding wires. Doesn't always happen. Sean saying quite rightly, Alexa almost tripped over a cable at Survivor Series until she moved it out of the way. It is becoming a problem. Oh, Bayley. Bayley going for the jugular here. Saying some truly ridiculous things. Oh, we got personal. Again, this will have been cleared beforehand. Bayley and Seth, by the way, are quite close. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Sean says this would be a good time for Carmella to return if she's returning and get hit by attacking Becky. I mean, that's what damage control are for, surely. Kieran says if Twitch live streamers can wireless stream for 12 hours a day, surely we can find a way. You're not wrong. So we're getting personal. So the steel cage match has been pushed back to next week. Ideally, I'd still push it all the way back to Mania. I'd have Bayley dodge her the entire rest of the time. Adam Pearce? I'd imagine she's going to get Adam Pearce. Ghost says, while the ramp looked cool, I do think it could have been constructed better, or at least a little wider. Yeah, you don't need every single spot in the arena to be a seat. She's going to injure Dakota Kai. Of course she is. She's got the ankle trapped. You got to give her the match. You got to give her the match. See, here's an interesting one, because Bayley is a heel, so surely she's not going to back... Sorry, surely she's not going to give in here and protect her people, but she's not that much of a heel. I think she's going to protect her people. Bayley protects Dakota Kai. Very good line from Becky. Check on Iyo. You never know what I've done. The steel cage definitely won't be the end of it. Mr. Stumble says, can Roman Reigns and ex-con Dom join forces to reform a new version of Legacy? Two biggest heels in the game today. No, unfortunately they cannot. They have very different trajectories at this point. Lovan says, is it better than the other promo? She's going to go find some more excuses. Just made me laugh so hard. I'm crying right now. That's what Bayley does best. Little comments like that. Next up, Dolph Ziggler versus Bronson Reed. If Carmella is returning, she needs to hurry up a little bit. John says, does a cage match happen next week? I suspect so, yes. So I do think there'll still be a beating to come. Bayley says, why doesn't WWE use an overhead drone for some of its camera shots? It's a good question. Particularly in the big arenas like that. You could do it like American football, where they have the camera on the wires just drifting from place to place. It shouldn't be as difficult as they make it. It really shouldn't be. 50 minutes left of Monday Night Raw. My back and neck are starting to get stiff as hell, which is a sign that I've been awake too long. Too long. That said, we have gained some additional members, some additional memberships. Thank you very much for the gifts. We've gained another subscriber. Still only 3 needed to reach 2100. And if I don't do it today, I'm sure I'll do it tomorrow. So I'm not really worried about it. It's been a fun show. I can't see myself doing any more until WrestleMania, but it's been a good show. Mr. Stumble says, what's the latest you ever stayed up to watch wrestling? I've stayed up to a point where I didn't go to sleep at all. WrestleMania 32. I started watching on a whim, knowing that I had work at 7 o'clock in the morning. But it was WrestleMania, and it was on, so I thought, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot and have a watch. I regretted it almost immediately. It finished at 6:30. I had to be at work at 7. And the last match was Roman versus Triple H, one of the least desired main events in a long time. This was during the era in which Roman Reigns would just be booed for every single thing that he did. Interesting era, way back when. Carmelina says, good night everyone, have to go work early in the morning. See you all Friday. Thank you, Carmelina. I will see you Friday. Have a great time. Connor says, I've also been awake too long. Lil Fettuccini says, what happened so far? We have seen some qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber. Rhea Ripley has declared for Charlotte Flair. Cody Rhodes is going to be working against Finn Balor in the main event. Rick Boogs has returned. Bobby Lashley has speared MVP, but not intentionally. And in the most recent segment, Becky Lynch waggled a chair at Dakota Kai, meaning that their cage match will be next week. Oh, also The Miz was there. So, not the most eventful show, but for a follow-up to the Royal Rumble and to start the build to Elimination Chamber, doing a good job. Go says, I don't think Carmella's coming back tonight. That was probably the last female segment of the night, excluding Rhea with the Judgment Day, which is a bit disappointing, to be honest. She could always walk up to someone in a backstage segment. Like, it's an option. Sean says, think we'll get any qualifying matches for the Women's Chamber? I don't think they've got time for all of them, to be honest. Not for all 6. But why not? Bayley says, maybe Tom can bring back squats for new subscribers. The issue is I don't get an alert for every subscriber. I got 2 alerts earlier, but I gained 13 subscribers. Also, it's really awkward for spoiler warning doing that, because then I'll definitely be on for 2 hours. Definitely. Maybe. Certainly it's an option. It seemed to do pretty well at the time, and everyone really enjoyed torturing me, so maybe that is an option. But yeah, I'm very, very happy with the way that we're growing at the minute. This month we've gained over 150 subscribers. That's pretty good. That's 5 a day. Sean says, do you take suggestions for interviews? What do you mean, Sean? If you're saying to me, oh, you should go and interview The Rock, that's not really something I have control over. Christoph says AOP comeback with Paul Ellering was reported as well. It was indeed. Is that for today? I've reported previously about AOP's return. Traffic says, I'll never forget when Roman came out after beating Taker and Mania, some of the loudest boos of this decade. The best heel promo I've ever seen. Connor says, I can't believe Cody is claiming the Rumble win when Rey Mysterio won it. Very disgraceful from him. Shameful. Shameful. Cody should know better. Honestly, I'm very surprised that Dominic didn't mention that. Another 2K23 commercial there. The game will be coming out March 17th, so in between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. A few more clips from the Royal Rumble before we start to head into our last section. We have 2 matches still to come, one final qualifier which will last about 10 minutes, and then our main event which will last about 15. No sign of Nia Jax yet either, suggesting that maybe the merch thing was only temporary. Loven says, Tom, do you think the Viking Raiders will ever reach the stardom and match quality they had in New Japan? Not in WWE, no. You don't get the chance to do it. We are backstage with Adam Pearce. He has an announcement, so what's the announcement? Carmella? About to find out. The cage match has been made official. What's your second announcement then, Adam? Elimination Chamber match for Bianca. None of this surprises me at all. We've been talking about it the entire show. The final 4 in the Rumble chosen. Interesting first 4. So Carmella is not returning this week. She's returning next week. Or is that her? No. Oh, I'm not going to like her. Loven says, I've been really disappointed with their work, honestly. I love their matches against Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Vince Archer. I really enjoyed their work with the Street Profits. I go back and watch them all the time. Sean says, Alexa not mentioned as a participant in the chamber because she will not be in the chamber. I'd say it's an interesting crowd. Nikki Cross will be there, Liv Morgan will be there, Asuka, naturally, who I still think is a likely winner, and Raquel Rodriguez. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling Asuka on that one. Unless the plan is that the fifth spot goes to Nia. Because the Fatal 4-Way qualifying will only mean that one person qualifies. I'm going to go with Piper Niven, to be honest. I'll definitely go Piper Niven. But that only selects the 5th competitor. The 6th competitor could well be Alexa Bliss. Could well be Nia Jax. There are options. Lewin says if Asuka wins, she might finally win at Mania. Asuka versus Bianca has certainly got a lot behind it. In fact, I'll do a tweet. I haven't done many tweets. Asuka versus Bianca is surely the most interesting play for WrestleMania. Mustafa Ali is pissed off backstage. Good line from Dolph Ziggler. He's wearing a Hooters shirt, which is Always an interesting choice. I keep forgetting that Dolph Ziggler's involved, to be completely honest. Sean says, no Bianca, no Alexa, no Asuka tonight. True, they've definitely lost a little bit of star power. No response whatsoever for Bronson Reed. Nothing. Go says, I find it interesting that the current brand split is being ignored for the sake of the women's chamber match. I really think the draft should have happened months ago, but here we are. I agree with that. I think the fact that they're keeping Becky and Bayley outside of it very much confirms their Mania match. But I do feel it takes star power out of it. That said, the way Triple H likes to work is not the same as how Vince likes to work. He likes to pepper in quite a lot of names lower down the card who can potentially get a leg up on this. Raquel Rodriguez, Nikki Cross, I think, is the biggest one. Who would get the benefit from being in this match, even if I think she has no chance of winning it. Bayley says, I'm waiting for Billie Kay to return, walking around in the backstage, but no one ever mentions it on camera. That would be solid. I'd very much enjoy that. She's just wandering around and no one's really paying any attention to her. Well, the same way Elias originally did. Connor says, so to decide the number one contender for the Raw Women's titles, they put Liv, a SmackDown superstar, in it. Raquel also, as Justin has pointed out. Yeah. To be fair, I actually don't hate the idea that the final four of the Royal Rumble, outside of Rhea Ripley naturally, would be involved. I think that's a good way of qualifying. No, Lovins, it's not Candice LeRae's Raw debut. She's been around for a while. Justin says, no Bayley, Bliss or Becky in the chamber, but we get 2 SmackDown stars. Triple H is getting worse than Vince. Oh, I disagree there. That's harsh. Triple H is giving opportunities to people, which I respect. Also, Triple H inherited the brand split. He wasn't particularly excited about it as a concept. Doesn't mean he wants it, he just happens to have it. There's a few people who have never really been beholden to the rule of the brand split. Damage Control, for example, have been on both shows. Justin says, Becky wins and then we need a rubber match. I like non-4 horsewomen chamber. Very much the exact opposite of boring. It's true. Not a single one of the 4 horsewomen will be involved in the chamber. And it sounds like they won't even be on the actual pay-per-view. For WrestleMania, only 1 horsewoman will be involved in a championship match. When I told you they were phasing them out of the championship picture, you didn't believe me. Joey said they should have had Carmella return at the Rumble. I was hearing that she was ready. I didn't hear that she was booked for it, but I heard that she was ready. Christoph says, Bayley and Becky are on fire tonight. I suspect a big B-Day party going on backstage. Yeah, they'll go backstage and they'll be the best of friends again, just having a great time. I don't blame them. Enjoy yourself, you know. Bronson Reed is dominating Dolph Ziggler so far. There's a zigzag, which nobody gets pinned by anymore. Nobody loses to any of Dolph's finishes anymore. Ghost says, Asuka's new render is super cool. I'm excited to see how she does in the chamber, as well as seeing how the rest of the field fills out. For me, this has got to be a win for Asuka. One last big run for Asuka is all I really want, and the character change very much fits that bill. Dolph Ziggler caught into a powerbomb. This is already feeling like a squash. Bronson Reed's going up for the finish. Dolph Ziggler got squashed there. Powerful moment. Ali furious he doesn't get opportunities, but maybe let that one lie. Maybe just let that one happen. That opportunity might not be for you. You know? It might not be for you. And he says, will the brand split be more enforced after the draft? Yes, it will. Particularly because that's after WrestleMania. It'll be a new season. They'll just be moving on from there. Eric wants the US title on Ollie. Not yet. Not yet. They're still waiting for Ollie. Oh, Bianca Belair is up next. The main event's not going to get a lot of time at all. Joey says they're really trying to build up Bronson Reed as a top guy on the mid card. Fair enough. I can see that. I can see it. It's a good opportunity for him. I don't see him winning, but definitely could. Connor says Ali does have a point. I mean, where's the lie? Very true. Very true. He's playing a character that's very true to life right now. They're advertising SmackDown entirely around the bloodline, which, I mean, you would. You would, wouldn't you? Of course, Charlotte Flair, who has been challenged, will be taking on Sonya Deville. So that challenge might not be exactly what Rhea's looking for. She may end up challenging Sonya Deville instead. We're going into the last half hour with Bianca Belair and then Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor. Edge likely to be involved in that one as well. Ghost says, looking at how things were last year, the first Hall of Fame inductee was announced the night before Elimination Chamber. If that happens again, we're looking at an announcement around the February 17th edition of SmackDown. Last year they were late with it because quite a lot of people turned them down. So they were running late. Unless people have started turning them down again, I'm very surprised by this. Just doesn't make much sense to me personally. Just get the announcements done, you know? If you know what you're doing, get it done. Start building hype. Levin says, I feel like Retribution was only a thing for a month. And says, Tom, they have 30 minutes to put on a 5-star match. They do not have 30 minutes to put on a 5-star match. By the time they get back from commercial break, Bianca Belair will be on her way out. Bianca Belair will get a promo, and then she will get a commercial break. So that's 10 minutes out of the way. So they're down to 20 minutes. Then they will start with their intros, and there will likely be something involving Edge. That'll take us down to 15 minutes. We'll have one commercial break in the middle of the match, meaning that takes us down to 12 minutes, and a 2-minute at least segment at the end of the show, taking us down to 10 minutes. So that 30-minute 5-star match has immediately gone down to 10. Connor says, Sonya Deville, the person who lost a feud to Liv, has a women's title match. I'm failing to see the logic. Oh, it's easy. She annoyed Charlotte into it. Sometimes it really is that simple. Sometimes it's all about annoying everyone. Joey says, I hope we don't get any Uncle Howdy or Alexa in this Bianca segment. I think Alexa's a possibility. Uncle Howdy, maybe not. I don't see that one personally. I will have to say excuse me for just one moment. Yes, I will. It's literally made my eyes shake in my head. I've already got a twitchy eye on the right side because I'm tired. Honestly, it surprised me no one's noticed the twitchy eye. Oh, look how I look tired. Do you see the twitch? It's in the right eye. My right eye, so your left. No? It's there. Maybe I don't get enough iron in my blood. But I don't want to get caught by Magneto, you know? That's the big risk you take when you've got too much iron in your blood. Magneto can just be like... Connor says, you just have to annoy people. I've done that for 21 years. Where's my title match? You've annoyed the wrong people. I'd say annoy the champions, but then ultimately you're going for Freddie Mercury and Queen. After all, they are the champions, my friend. Thank you, Luvens. Just to be clear, how do you pronounce your name? Because I'm saying Luvens. Is that correct, or is there a better way to phrase it? You're fairly new to the channel. I just want to make sure that I'm saying your name right. I don't want to unintentionally take the piss, you know? No one ever should. Ghost says the fact there have been no rumours about inductees, excluding Batista, is a bit worrying. Typically around this time of the year, there are at least strong possibilities discussed. My hope is, given the... Earlier on today during Spoiler Warning, I did a whole retrospective of the Royal Rumble and the fake news that we saw all through it. My hope is that they're learning. I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. But I hope they're learning. Oh, we have another return. It is Carmella. She's on screen. Kathy Kelly interviewing. So this is a character reintroduction. Carmella was always very popular. She had a very good talent for reinventing herself. Former SmackDown Women's Champion, of course. The issue you've got here is that Mella is Money is going to get comparisons to Mercedes Moné. Okay. We're going very different with Asuka. Very different. Oh, I'm liking this. I'm very much liking this. Sean says, since Iron Man can make a suit immune to Magneto's powers, I feel it could make an adamantium suit. He probably could. We're getting a recap of the injury to Rick Boogs from last year's WrestleMania against the Usos. Showing off the press to show that he's fully fit and ready to go. So we have seen a few returns so far. A few good returns. Boogs is celebrating backstage with Street Profits, who for some reason are also talking to Elias. Thought it was a boo. Sean says, so they ended the most beautiful woman character for Carmella. I see, they ended that one a while ago. Okay, thank you, Rick. That hurt. Go said she's oozing blue. I wonder if it tastes like blue raspberry. Ooh. My concern is very much where is he heading? Like, where's Rick Boogs headed from here? Elias is standing there, literally holding a guitar. That was a compliment. That was a compliment from Elias. Okay, so we're getting announced the qualifiers for next week. Okay, so I'd imagine Damian Priest is getting through and Montez Ford. This is going to be an interesting one. Both of them could legitimately become US champion. Or they could both be in it. Dawkins and Montez Ford, and we could herald the breakup. Gotcha, Luvens. I was actually doing it just about right. Lovely, cheers. Joey says, I like Asuka's new look. I agree. Joey's saying Asuka looks like a savage. I want to see Bronson do tsunami off one of the pods at the chamber. Leuven says, I hope he doesn't make that screech his thing. Sadly, he's already committed to doing that. Wait, we just got told we're going to see Bianca Belair, and now they're now they're promoting Cody Rhodes and Finn. But are they just having another commercial break 5 minutes after the last one? We haven't even seen Bianca. Oh. Eric says Carmella looks completely different. I don't agree on that one. I think she looks the same. Joey says Rick Boogs and Elias might be a tag team. The Artistes. Could see it. I can see it. Works for me. Sean says, Damien is a former US champion after all. He is indeed. Beat Sheamus for it, as I recall. And Ghost says, Montez in the chamber sounds like a fun time. You know he's diving off stuff. And by stuff, I mean basically everything. He's big on the diving. Braun Strowman will be turning over in his grave. Mm. 25 more minutes to survive, and then I can go to sleep for just 4 hours, then do a full work day, and then be a parent. Guys, life moves pretty fast. Sean says maybe it was false advertising by WWE regarding Bianca. I did note this. Ghost saying they just called Batista a Hall of Famer on commentary even though he was never formally inducted. They said abducted, which I don't think anyone can abduct Batista. I don't want to tempt fate or anything, but I think he'd be okay. The thing is, last year was... Well, wasn't last year, was it? It was last year. Last year was his induction. He was mentioned. He was formally inducted. He just wasn't there to receive it. Technically, as far as I can tell, he's already there. Joey says they probably cut out her segment to make time for the main event. I found that very, very unlikely. If that was going to be the thing, they wouldn't have announced her then. They would have just ignored that she was there. Connor says, bring back the tag name of the Artist Collective. Joey says, sounds like a fun life, Tom. Cheers. Patrick says, Tom is going to crash tomorrow night. I am. That's definitely going to happen. Eric says, Montez frog splash from the top of the cage. Bronson tsunami from the top of the pod. Carnage is what you're trying to say. Traffic says, when you crash tomorrow night, that sleep's going to be so good. I used to shovel snow for 20 hours, sleep for 4 or 5, go back out, then come home and crash. Nothing like that sleep. I'm exhausted though. It was worth it though. I think this has been a decent Raw. I can't say it's a world beater. I can't say it's the best Raw I've ever seen. It's standard middle of the road stuff. But it's been a fun watch party because we've got people. And I like it when there are people. I remember when I first started doing these and there were no people. Now there are people and that's cool. As long as there are people, we have a chance. And we have some fun. And I never get bored. Because everyone's chatting away. And we can talk Last of Us, we can talk games, we can talk football, we can talk whatever the hell we want. Whatever the hell we want. Whatever the hell we want. For me, that's all I need. Couple of people. Sean says, Seth, Phoenix Splash from the Chamber Pod. We could get Seth and Montez Ford in there. There's lots of good opportunities here. I'm excited for the prospect. I don't necessarily think Austin Theory is going to escape with it, but it'd be great fun. We are heading then into our last 20 minutes. It means after this there's only going to be one more commercial break. We have been promised Bianca Belair, and of course we have the main event. Hopefully we're about to get Bianca Belair backstage or something, because I can't imagine anything's gone over since they announced the match. Not the match, announced the segment. So where is Bianca? Just cut straight to her. Connor says, people do make watch-alongs better, otherwise just you watching it by yourself late at night, very late and very sad. Mate, we have had some days. We have had some days like that. That's the thing. The Royal Rumble stream was our 2-year anniversary. The first one, I believe we got 13 views total. And I was terrified and insecure and had no idea what I was doing. So it's very nice to go from that to a Royal Rumble which averaged between 30 and 40. This completely random watch party is averaged about 30 as well. Good stuff. Good stuff. They're going through the matches for next week. The Fatal 4-Way women's match to determine the 5th entrant in the Chamber. Montez Ford versus Elias to determine the 5th entrant in the Chamber. And Angelo Dawkins versus Damian Priest to determine the 6th entrant in the Chamber. Lots of build for the Elimination Chamber, which is good. They do not have long. Also next week, of course, Steel Cage, Becky Lynch versus Bayley. And this one better not get cut down for time. Although if it did, they're definitely going to Mania, so I'm not going to complain about that. They cut Bianca Belair. They full on cut Bianca Belair. I am not okay with that. Tweeting it. Did they just full on cut Bianca Belair, their women's champion, from an announced segment on Raw? Because Cody's on the way out now, so it's not like she's going to come down to the ring. That's just awkward for everyone involved. Sean says, Darth Maul versus Count Dooku versus Darth Vader versus Kylo Ren. Who wins? Kylo Ren does. Kylo Ren's the only one who actually fights with any sort of emotion. The only one. Darth Vader was slow as shit. Count Dooku could barely actually fight. Darth Maul's the only one who would actually give him any sort of run for his money. But Kylo Ren's just stronger in the Force. Go says, I had to do a little research. So Batista was meant to be inducted in 2020, but due to prior obligations, he was unable to attend the ceremony in 2021. WWE did agree to induct him at a future ceremony, which did not happen just yet. Thank you, Goat. I appreciate that. That's really cleared the situation up. This is the thing. When I talk about being the most well-informed chat, bits of research like you just did there, Ghost. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Bayley says, how has WWE given up? Has the WWE given up on celebrity inductees? Nope. Sean says, does a cage match main event next week? I have no idea. We don't know what else is going to happen next week. Also, I haven't exactly been able to ask the question. They are naturally announcing Rhea Ripley as the winner of the Royal Rumble match. Judgment Day out in force. Finn Balor naturally taking the lead. So the whole story here is copying Finn, which is just silly. It's just silly. Judgment Day looking absolutely incredible right now. The addition of Dominic Mysterio is not something I expected to skyrocket Judgment Day back to relevance, but that is very much what happened. This, by the way, is very typical WWE. For example, after Drew McIntyre won the WWE Championship, on Raw he faced Andrade after being interrupted by the faction, which was Andrade, Angel Garza and Austin Theory, with Zelina Vega as their manager. This is very, very typical of WWE. A way that they establish someone who's either pursuing a championship or has just won a championship. We should probably forget about the Big Show entirely and forget his part in it. It's not really worth talking about. The match has now started. Bianca Belair has been cut. Sean says they cut their women's champion. Epic fail. Hector says, I'll repeat my statements from Rumble stream. Finn's Judgment Day theme slaps hard. I wholeheartedly agree. Cody Rhodes showing off at this point. So he should. And we are already into our commercial break. This should be the last one. Unless we come back and we see Bianca Belair. We're not going to. But if we do, but we're not. But if we do, which we won't. Like, who makes these decisions? Ghost says this is the second week in a row that a women's match or segment has been cut. Women's Rumble did have some notable flaws. Women in WWE do truly deserve better than what they've been offered the past few weeks. Hector says there's so much smoke still in the ring. Good call for that commercial break. True, Kevin Dunn would have been furious there. We can't see it. We can't see it. Cut someone else. Cut another woman off the card. Cut Rhea Ripley. Cut everyone. Just whatever you do, go to commercial break. Justin Check says the same. It's foggy for y'all. What we got? Leuven says they cut the Bianca segment. Cody has to hit the crossroads off the apron now. Andrew says WWE's not showing the Bianca segment. Well, we know what happened there. Leuven says random vent, but I'm mad I got Peacock to watch the Rumble and I can't even watch Raw on there. The last Raw on there was December 26th, 2022. Can you believe that? The network was always 4 weeks behind for Raw and SmackDown because of the TV rights given to USA Network and Fox. That has always been the case. Traffic says, ooh, cutting Bianca, I'm lost for words. That's just really the worst thing they could have done. Andrew says, Alexa Bliss paid WWE to cancel Bianca Belair. Connor says, unless it's a backstage thing, which in the end it wasn't. Joey says, I think Bronson will have a big showing in the chamber. He was pushed big time in NXT by Triple H. Leuven says, it's Cody's first match back. Trust, it's going to be 5 stars. He has to make up for her. Christoph says, Raquel and Liv competing for the Raw Women's title. I'm very confused here, and so you should be, because it makes no sense. Traffic says, how can they keep messing up on time? Is that just inexperience from Triple H booking what is expected, but why keep cutting the women's time? Great question. Great question. Joey says, Vince was always ripping up scripts and making last minute changes. At least Triple H isn't changing the whole match card every week. At times, maybe he should, to fit in people who do deserve to actually be in there. Joey says, I see that too. Cody's pyro always makes the whole stadium foggy. Well, it was that, and also all of the dry ice that they use for Judgment Day. When one person's coming into fog, it's okay. When 2 people coming into fog, not so much. Leuven says, is this what WCW felt like? Eric Douglas says, I'm really torn between Liv and Asuka. I know what you're saying about Liv getting a tag team shot, but the way they're doing the tag team division, why should we care about it? Well, the only way to make you care about it is to put people you care about in the tag team division. I'd be surprised if it's Liv, but I'd also still kind of like it. She's had a good 2022. James says, binge in Australia, live streams all of WWE shows, Raw, SmackDown and Rumble, Chamber and Mania, etc. I have BT Sport as part of my internet package, and of course I have the WWE Network, which I essentially pay for just to watch pay-per-views now. Like that's just how it is now. Didn't really stop and think about it until now. Spending a lot of money for very little. I'm not spending a lot of money. I don't know why I'm even saying that. It's a tenner. I can survive a tenner. Worst comes to worst, I can say to you guys, hi guys, can I have a tenner? And I'd imagine it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Because then we could have a watch party. I don't know. I'm just talking now. Sean says they were lacking on star power tonight. Hector says, is this Finn and Cody's first match ever? Or not? If so, this is a big match regardless of situation. I believe this is their first match ever, to be honest. I don't think they crossed paths in Ring of Honor. And Cody hadn't gone to Japan when Finn Balor was there. Ghost says, this may be an unpopular opinion, but can anyone remember the last memorable moment regarding the women, excluding returns, since Triple H has been in control? I find it frustrating that the women's segments are the first to be cut. I would say the Royal Rumble, to be fair. That obviously stands out. But if we're talking Raw or SmackDown... Nope, that was a return for Charlotte. I'm stuck. Sean says, some are speculating that Alexa was moved to SmackDown, which could be why we didn't see her tonight. Well, we didn't see Bianca Belair tonight. Do you think she's been moved to SmackDown? I debate that point. But I appreciate you saying some are speculating. It's a fair analysis. Cody at this point still taking a beating. Corey Graves correctly identifying that as a dragon screw. Of course, the Hiroshi Tanahashi move. Always one that Cody likes to steal. Dive to the outside, but Cody Rhodes always dives forward and then just sort of lands. It doesn't look as damaging. He's dodging Damian Priest. He's fighting with Dominic. Cody Rhodes with a good opportunity here. I can't imagine he's going to lose. It makes no sense. But he's not going to win now either. Oh, the power slam. Always a good power slam. Rhea Ripley hasn't gotten involved yet. I don't believe that's going to stick around. She's trying to rescue Dominic. Leuven says, this isn't 5 stars. You seem so surprised. I mean, there is a "this is awesome" chant. That's what you're looking for, isn't it, Leuven's? All you really wanted was a chant. Damian Priest has returned to ringside now, after going flying earlier. I can't say being sent flying, I know I'm supposed to. Oh, there's another commercial break. That, what? Why is there another commercial break? Well, that might explain why there's no Bianca Belair segment. They needed multiple commercial breaks. Great. Great. Okay, so we'll have another commercial break. Code says, has Nia Jax returned or was it one time? To my knowledge, it is not one time, but she hasn't popped up again. I think she may be a SmackDown wrestler at this point. Potentially occupy Charlotte for a couple of weeks. But it's hard to say. She, as far as I can tell, she's back for a little while, but not back full time. She has merch on sale, so the WWE trying to profit from her appearance. I can't imagine that would happen if she was just one time. Different things have been reported at this point in time, though, so it's really hard to say with certainty which one is the correct piece of information. We are into our last 10 minutes, so if you've not yet done so, please remember to hit like. Every thumbs up can make a massive difference in the growth of the channel and the growth of the show. And subscribe if you haven't already. We are still on the hunt for 2,100. Not far off now, but hey, we've still had a fantastic day. Leuven says, I was expecting Cody versus Prince Devitt for the IWGP IC Championship. I should have known better. You absolutely should have. It's all about damage control. That's the part you should be focusing on. Where's damage control? I meant Judgment Day. I said damage control. I meant Judgment Day. Meh. Ghost says, I feel Royal Rumble is an exception. It's always a fun time and is meant to make history. If it's that hard to remember a memorable moment with the women, excluding returns, in over half a year, then there is a major issue that needs to be confronted. I don't think you're wrong there. I don't think you're wrong. I would go back to, like, for example, the Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair match at SummerSlam. But even that had the arrival of damage control. So it's kind of hard to escape the possibility now. I think you've asked a really good question there, Ghost. And I've got to be honest, I don't have an answer for you. Wish I did. It'd give me a little more faith in the company. I'm officially out of cherry coke. Naturally, I will be having a cry pretty much immediately. Jill, welcome, mate. Is there a mini shake-up, Maximum and Boogs and Liv and Raquel to come? There is no mini shake-up. Triple H has not adhered to the brand split in its entirety for a while. And he's not planning to start soon. Justin Check says, to be fair, Bianca was just going to do a promo to say Chamber. Grr, I'm going to be champ regardless. EST, grr. Down to find her boring as a face. Needs a good heel. So you're suggesting Nia Jackson? Chill's just glad we didn't hear my hole tonight. Still the best promo Nia Jackson's ever cut. Another This Is Awesome chant. And I gotta be honest, I don't think it is. God bless them, they're trying to will it to be. 5 minutes of Raw left. Maybe now's the part I give up and say I need to go to bed. It's the night. I hope everyone's had fun. Venom, I hope you're grateful. We're just getting haymakers at this point. Not sure you said what you're meaning to say there, Luvens. About Triple M. Chill, I don't think it's a good thing. I do not think it's a good thing that Bianca was cut. Especially when they could have just not announced her. They announced her, came back from a commercial break, and then forgot about her. Gotcha, Justin. That makes more sense. Finn Balor threatening. Cody's comeback starting with a super kick. It's a super kick party. We all knew. We all knew. Rhea Ripley showing a very extreme amount of emotion right there. It's a nice looking kick. Hector says, I've thought on it since they announced the Theory Chamber match. Originally I thought that we should see a new US champ, but if you want to make Theory feel like a bigger deal, have him run the gauntlet, then beat Cena and retain the title at Mania. I agree with that. If you're trying to build Austin Theory, that's the way. That said, if he's not going to win against John Cena, he needs to lose the championship. In the same way Sami Zayn lost the Intercontinental Championship to Ricochet because he was going to lose to Johnny Knoxville. If Cena's going to win, take the championship off Austin Theory, put it on someone else. Judgment Day are hovering around Cody. Oh look, it's Edge again. What'd I say? Edge is backing up Cody at this point. You know who would be ideal to be the third? Randy Orton. Shame that. Imagine Edge, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton versus Judgment Day. Be a great match. Past versus future a little bit, but great match. Jill says Vince must have shown up dressed as Triple H. Jill says, want to hear something scary? Seth wins the US title only to lose it to Logan Paul. Oh, why? Why would you do that? Beth Phoenix on the way down. She has speared Rhea Ripley. I feel confident that's where we're headed for Elimination Chamber. That will be our fourth match of the card. I need to do an Elimination Chamber card as well. Got a few videos to do over the next couple of weeks. Balor and Cody build into the finish. Balor's going for the coup de grace. Has a little rah while he's doing it. But here's Edge providing a distraction. He looks down at Cody. They clearly communicated that. And here comes the finish. Joey says, I think we're getting that rumoured... Oh, and then deletes it. Okay. Okay, a triple crossroads. At this point, you're getting unnecessary. Bit of respect shown to Finn. And Cody wins the match. Now, Luvens, you are absolutely correct. That was a 5-star match. Joey, I can't risk reading that in case it'll delete it again. What's going on, mate? Sean says, maybe could have Cena win the title from Theory, then drop it on Raw to an NXT call-up. A Braun Breaker, for example, that could work. A Mello. But if they're going to do that, let Austin Theory lose it. That's what I'd do. I do like that Beth Phoenix just sort of wanders around backstage until needed to spear someone nowadays. Traffic says Theory needs to go over Cena. No reason for Cena to win. I agree. Jill says Friday will be extremely interesting. Leuven says Cody saved up 3 finishes like he was playing 2K23. Traffic says, anyways, thanks as always, Tom, for the content. We are, of course, seeing the end of Raw right now. They are hyping up matches for next week, particularly the Steel Cage match, which will probably be an event, let's be fair, but I can't guarantee that. I wonder who's right now desperately trying to take as much credit as possible for saying Carmella would return. Consider always the fake news extravaganza that we did earlier today at Spoiler Warning. And remember it well when people try and convince you that they know everything. In the meantime, that was Monday Night Raw. It is 4 a.m. Tom needs his sleep because I'm working in about 4 hours. Yay me. But it's been fun. Thank you very much, guys, for giving me a shot coming into this sort of random show and just joining us for a Monday Night Raw for once. But we are going to wrap it there. Unless there are any comments. Chill Dude's right. Bit of a mediocre show, particularly as post-pay-per-view. You're absolutely right. Raw, not the most impressive. But thank you for making it fun for me. The next Raw watch party will be after WrestleMania, which will hopefully be a bit more news. But until then, I will see you again on Friday, live for Spoiler Warning. There will be shorts, there will be videos along the way, enough to keep you satisfied in the meantime. But for now, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.